morning, Manitoba. It is Wednesday, July the 2nd. We're hoping you had a good Canada Day. We had a special weekend here for the CTV Morning Live crew. Our very own Terry got married on Saturday, officially. Terry Gale this morning. Congratulations, Terry. It was a lovely day.
Thank you.
Was so beautiful. You looked stunning. It was such a perfect day. Thank you so much for letting us be a part of it. These are some of the photos. Tell us about these photos.
So yeah, we went down. We were at the St. Boniface Cathedral for some family photos in the middle of the afternoon.
Lovely.
This giant cloud rolled over. We heard the thunder. We were not sure. It managed to stay away. So yeah, we lucked in and had a lovely photo shoot in the afternoon, and then a lovely evening. And yeah, no rain, which I understand there were showers, thunderstorms, and even hailstorms in pockets around the city that day. And
you just told Mother Nature, back off, and she did.
It's what I do.
It was perfect. It was a lovely day. Congratulations.
Well, thank you for sharing it with us. It was so special to have family and friends there too. Yeah,
it was. And the weather was great this weekend.
It was great over the weekend. It was great through the early part of the day yesterday, and then those storms rolled through. And yeah, I know that a lot of people, myself included, were out at Canada Day festivities and found ourselves running for shelter when those storms passed through by the afternoon. But now we're waking up to fairly clear conditions. There's just a little bit of fog out there this morning, but the temperatures are mild once again. 16 degrees is where we begin, with northeast winds 5 kilometers per hour. The pressure rising, humidity at 90%. And you can see on the satellite image still just the very ends of those storms still passing through in areas just south of the Yellowhead Highway. You can see right along that most southern border, Morden Winkler, you're probably still seeing some or hearing some of that activity rolling on through. As far as conditions go today, for the most part, it will be fairly clear. It's still going to be a warm one today, though. Those temperatures will be on the rise. An above seasonal day expected once again, and probably throughout the rest of this week, with 25 degrees being normal for this time of year. We're more likely to be into the upper 20s and even low 30s. But like I said, fairly clear conditions for today and even for tomorrow. Fair bit of sunshine, at least through central and southern Manitoba. Northern Manitoba starts to see some of that precipitation, and then it starts to hit through central Manitoba by evening time, and overnight is when we could see that activity passing through. And that looks angry, so you could be woken up by some storms in the overnight hours. I mentioned the heat that we're going to be feeling, yes, with 25 degrees being normal, 29 today, low 30s for the next couple. One day where we slip slightly below seasonal before the mercury is on the rise once again.
Thank you, Terry. Time has finally expired for parking pay stations along Winnipeg streets and in city-owned lots. As of today, the city will begin the process of removing those pay stations, which the city says have become technologically obsolete and too costly to replace. The city recommends that drivers download the Pay by Phone mobile app for parking transactions. In May, Mayor Scott Gillingham told CTV News 80% of all parking payments are already made via the app. The removal process is expected to be completed by the end of August. The only exception is the Millennium Library Parkade, which will still have pay stations available. Private parking lots will not be impacted by the change. Ottawa says it has removed all of its barriers to free trade within Canada, but experts say more work needs to be done.
That's not all of the work. It's really the policy changes and the regulatory work and the standards changes that has to come about for free trade to actually take place.
On Monday, Ottawa announced it had removed all of its remaining exemptions from the Canada Free Trade Agreement. It was part of its promise to achieve free trade by Canada Day. Now it's up to the provinces to bring down their own trade barriers. There is some progress on that front in areas like alcohol sales and interprovincial labor. Ottawa says it will keep working with provinces to move interprovincial trade forward. At a time when Canada has faced months of threats to its sovereignty and economy, Canadians stood united on Tuesday, honoring the people who live here and have built this nation. A surge of patriotism swept from coast to coast to coast. Here's CTV's Rachel Aiello with more on the celebration in a sea of red and white in the nation's capital.
National pride swelled all around this Canada Day.
Definitely feeling pretty patriotic today.
Elbows up and all.
That patriotism peaking in the capital.
I think we have all the feels about Canada right now. Elbows up for sure.
What makes you the proudest to be Canadian?
We get to be free.
Well, happy birthday, Canada.
Canadians from coast to coast to coast came together to celebrate the country's 158th. Among the revelers, Ottawa's Joan O'Malley, who 60 years ago sewed the first prototype of the Canadian flag. And Cape Breton singer-songwriter Heather Rankin, as well as Vancouver-born actor and businessman Ryan Reynolds, who were invested as officers of the Order of Canada for their contributions. This year's bash was big, but the strained relationship with the United States also loomed large over Mark Carney's first Canada Day as Prime Minister.
We find ourselves in a situation where our economy is being attacked. As the world becomes more divided and dangerous, Canadians are uniting.
The sovereignty threats from south of the border motivated many to brave the Ottawa humidity as a show of unity.
This year more than any, we need to come together and celebrate what a fantastic country we have.
It's been a really challenging year in some ways for Canada, but I think we've really come together and responded positively.
Celebrating her first Canada Day in the country as a citizen, one Torontonian who came to the capital had a message for Americans.
We are strong and free, and we will always be.
Canadian Heritage says thousands attended events in the capital, joining millions more in towns and cities right across this beautiful country. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
U.S. President Donald Trump says Israel has agreed to the necessary conditions to finalize a 60-day ceasefire in Gaza.
He wants to, I can tell you he wants to, and I think we'll have it. I think we'll have a deal next week. That's what I think.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is set to meet Donald Trump in the U.S. next week. The president believes Prime Minister Netanyahu wants the war in Gaza to end. In a social media post, the U.S. president says during a ceasefire, his country will work with all parties to end the war. Israel hasn't confirmed it has agreed to the conditions of a deal. A Hamas official says the group is ready for a ceasefire, but wants a complete end to the war in Gaza. TSN's free agent frenzy had one final bit of breaking news from the original hockey insider, Bob McKenzie.
I'm trading my semi-retired life of doing the World Juniors, draft rankings for Leaf games, free agent frenzy, trade deadline for absolutely nothing.
After nearly 5 decades in the industry, Bob McKenzie is retiring. Any hockey fan will tell you he's been a staple in Canadian hockey coverage for years and a fixture at the World Juniors, on trade deadline day and free agent frenzy day. His 48-year career brought him to the Sioux Star, the Globe and Mail, the Hockey News, the Toronto Star, TSN, and even south of the border. Our colleagues at TSN honored Bobby Mack yesterday at the end of Free Agent Frenzy with a special silver hockey stick presented to him by members of the RCMP. Shin Shin the Panda has marked a milestone birthday in Mexico. What a nice place to spend your 35th birthday. Shin Shin is the only giant panda in Latin America and is one of the oldest under human care anywhere in the world. She was born in Mexico, and her parents arrived there in 1975, and as a gift from China to mark the restoration of diplomatic relations between the two countries. Happy birthday. Here's a look now at the current traffic situation along Confusion Corner. Looks like things are starting off really well this Wednesday morning. If you see any problems out on the streets, though, please let us know. Let's go now to Ainsley McPhail, who's live this morning at the Arberg Village. Good morning, Ainsley.
Good morning, Rochelle. What a beautiful sunrise here in Arberg. If you're driving up Highway 68, you're going to find the heritage site nestled in there. 16 plus buildings here, the caboose behind us, and we're going to learn where they slept when they were on the job. But we're also going to be learning about the group of families that lived here at the time as well, including the Vigvison family, the Brandison family, the Sigvaldson family, and the different cultures that made this up: Icelandic, Ukrainian, Polish, and Indigenous heritage, all wrapped into one bow. So we're going to be learning about the caboose at 6:37. We're also going to be heading to the farm area, talking about some of the tools that were used there at the time, too. So lots of heritage here in Arberg.
Thank you, Ainsley. Terry, here's a toy that is the cat's meow. Check this out. This kitty is is concentrating hard on work and fun. Nothing can distract her from the ball or the bubbles. Her friend seems content with letting her do all the work while she watches. Look at that, the song though.
I'm surprised there's not a cat somewhere like catching those bubbles.
Yeah, no kidding. The other one seems a little just, yeah, whatever, blasé about the whole thing. Keeps them busy, I guess. How's it feeling out there right now, Terry?
A little bit humid, certainly noticing that. I was shocked though when I came outside and noticed that my rain gauge is completely empty. And then I thought, oh, well, it's kind of probably because it's at a slant. I don't know if you can see it here on camera. It's tipped at a 45-degree angle. So maybe it wouldn't catch any of the rain. And then I wondered, my plants looked so sad, and it is bone dry. I can see a little bit of dampness on the patio, but I don't think there was a lot of rain. I mean, I talked earlier about those storms that passed through. Buzzkill on my Canada Day, but apparently not much fell up here on the rooftop. I will give them a bit of a drink today. They are looking a little bit sad. But yeah, perhaps your flowers are going to need a bit of a drink too, because today will be a hot one. The sun is up already, rising a little bit later each day now. Our earliest sunrise was a couple weeks ago at 5:19, and now 5:25 is official sunrise, still setting at 9:40. So we're going to get that sunshine right on into the evening, and we're going to be feeling the heat of it throughout the day today, with the mercury climbing up into those high 20s when 25 degrees is normal for this time of year. So brace yourself for another warm one. It's going to be hot, in fact, the rest of this week. Taking a break right now. We'll be back with more CTV Morning Live.
CTV Morning Live weather brought to you by ABC Fire and Safety, your CO2 refill store.
Good morning, it is 6:14. The Winnipeg Police Service is expecting to be about $4.2 million over budget this year. That's according to its first quarter financial report, which shows both revenue and expenses are slightly higher than expected. The force attributes the bulk of the red ink to a $5 million savings target, which it expects to partially achieve. Inflation also drove up costs, particularly for vehicle insurance and equipment. The Jets' whiteout street parties also helped push overtime expenses over budget by $1 million. The Finance Committee will review the report next week. Trade talks between Canada and the U.S. have resumed now that the digital services tax has been scrapped. However, there is still debate over whether the decision was a hit or miss for Canada.
$3.6 billion worth of trade crosses our border every single day with the United States. We can't afford to play with that. We need to make sure we secure that.
The Canadian Chamber of Commerce has applauded the move, but others say Canada needs to stand strong in talks with U.S. President Donald Trump. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre says he believes Prime Minister Mark Carney should have received something in return for scrapping the tax. He posted online, quote, "In exchange, the Prime Minister should insist that the U.S. immediately rescind softwood lumber tariffs," adding, "We need to make gains for our workers in these talks." First responders recently gathered in British Columbia to highlight the need for specialized treatment for post-traumatic stress disorder. Now those on the front line are sharing the first-hand experiences. CTV's Pauline Chan has more.
They are the people who protect us from war, from crime, from fires. But how do we protect them?
It would feel like I was about to be sick, nausea.
Jonathan Williams was in policing for 12 years, and he loved it, but the job took its toll.
You can't really get away too far because you're in a marked police car and you're in a uniform and you're expected to act. But I would find a cul-de-sac or some safe place and bawl my eyes out. And that's when I knew I couldn't, I wasn't able to control it.
We have first responders from across the country and from different areas, fire, police.
During a recent symposium in Kelowna, BC, the focus was on the specific needs of first responders.
It doesn't meet the needs, and we cookie cutter everything.
Former OPP officer Laura Kloosterman calls the situation devastating, and not just for first responders, but also their families. And it's costing lives.
Suicide in first responders and public safety personnel is an epidemic. It's astronomical. And the people that are not overtly dying, it's the installment program. they're killing themselves with drugs and alcohol.
She points to the need for specialized programs.
You don't want to spend the first 3 days of any kind of treatment program just telling people what you do. It has to be the fact that they understand trauma.
The trauma that they encounter during a week of their time being on the job is probably what most individuals will encounter during their lifespan. So that's a unique group.
In fact, for those needing residential treatment, many first responders get sent to addiction programs, even though they have no addictions. This traumatic stress recovery program in Kelowna was the first place Williams felt safe talking openly about his PTSD.
I'm not always the one that's protecting everybody. I can let my guard down.
Derek Shanko of the Diversified Rehab Group says there's also organizational stigma to worry about.
I may lose my badge, I may lose my job, I might be suspended.
He says the unique needs of first responders are slowly being recognized.
Not necessarily spending or asking government to spend more money or any other organizations, is just removing the barriers, the silos, so we can work together.
For many, the aim is to build a new mental health routine and return to the job they love. Jonathan Williams began singing as part of his therapy, but he's now left policing, diving fully into music with the confidence that he will be okay. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
The jury at the trial of Sean Diddy Combs is expected to be back deliberating today after reaching a partial verdict. The jury reached verdicts in 4 out of the 5 counts after deliberating for about 12 hours. But the jury told the judge they couldn't reach a verdict on the most serious count of racketeering. That's the charge that carries the heaviest sentence. Aside from racketeering, Combs is facing 2 counts each of sex trafficking and transportation to engage in prostitution. Combs has pleaded not guilty. Parts of Mexico's Pacific coast are under a tropical storm warning as Hurricane Flossy strengthens into a Category 3 cyclone. Officials have ordered some beaches to close and ports are closed to small boats. Mexico's army is also on standby for any relief efforts. Flossy's outer bands are bringing heavy rain to parts of Mexico's Pacific coast, but the storm's center is still offshore. Hurricane season started in the eastern Pacific on May 15th, 2 weeks before the Atlantic season. Hurricane season runs until the end of November. A team of Ukrainian players have won a special World Cup tournament.
For the children, they can feel that it's something very special, you know, for them, and giving them this opportunity to be part of it and to have a special event for them.
The event was made for children from orphanages and foster homes. Ukraine beat Slovakia in a tense penalty shootout. The event included 24 teams from countries all over the world. Here's a look now what's happening at Kenniston and Sterling Lyon. It looks like a good start so far to your Wednesday morning. No issues to tell you about. If you have any problems out there, let us know, please.
Traffic is brought to you by Curtis Carpets, Manitoba's flooring experts.
All right, we're looking now through the Bath Fitter Live Eye. Bath Fitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years. A little bit of a mild and muggy start to your day. You're certainly going to notice that humidity out there this morning. Temperature-wise, though, we're a little bit above seasonal, not by much. Starting out at 14 degrees, that's down a couple of degrees from where we were in the 5 a.m. reading. But now that sun is up, the fog is cleared, things will start to warm up, and we will be feeling the heat throughout the day today. A couple of places joining us at 14 degrees. We've got Portage La Prairie, Melita as well. A few places even cooler than that, though. 12 degrees in Dauphin and some 11s showing up right along this west central part of the province. Like I said, about 13 degrees. That would be a normal low temperature. So we're pretty much in that zone of what you would expect with northern Manitoba, just slightly cooler than that, hitting some high single digits, or for some still waking up into those double digits this morning. And pretty clear conditions expected throughout most of the province today. Just a few areas to the south of us with some lingering shower activity, a few thunderstorms tucked in there. Those storms last night were pretty wicked. I've got some cool weather photos to show you as the morning goes on. Is it this hit? maybe, yeah, it might even be in a few minutes. I'm going to show you a weather photo. Hang on. Yeah, I only took a couple of days off and I've already forgotten how this show goes. Okay, 16 as far as morning temperatures go. You're going to watch these temperatures rise pretty quickly through the day today. By midday, mid-20s all through the south, or high teens across northern Manitoba, who will eventually be pushing up into those low or mid-20s. But here in the south, high 20s are expected later on today. 25 degrees just for a reference point. That's normal for this time of year. We're surpassing it today, but even more so tomorrow and Friday. Don't even know what day of the week it is. Anyway, possible overnight storms Thursday night that'll carry us into Friday, and temperatures settling only slightly for a day on Sunday before they're on the rise again. This shot taken out in Niverville as those storms were passing on by. An incredible capture by Curtis. Thank you for this, and keep them coming, please, to Winnipeg Weather at CTV.ca. We're taking a break. We'll be back with more CTV Morning Live.
Good morning. Well, it's not hard to spot a Canadian flag nowadays. There's a special club of people who own flags that are part of history. The exclusive group actually grows every day and comes at a time when waving the red and white carries a deeper meaning.
The Canadian flag that flies high above the Peace Tower in the nation's capital is replaced every weekday. And once a week, the flags flown on the East and West Block are also replaced and shipped to some very lucky Canadians.
It's something that is surreal. Like, unless you to actually feel it and know where it came from and the history behind it, it's hard to believe. And people are in awe, and they realize how lucky that I am to be able to have that flag.
Glenn Hamilton of Bracebridge signed up for the program 12 years ago online. Since 1994, more than 11,000 flags have been taken down and shipped across the country. The program has become so popular that those on the wait list will be waiting more than 100 years.
We have a flagpole. We fly the Canadian flag every day, and we fly this flag on Canada Day only due to the fact of it flew on Parliament Hill, and it's something you want to be able to hand down to your grandkids.
While not everyone can get those coveted flags, demand to fly the red and white has soared this year. And helping fill that need is the Flag Store in Thornton, Ontario, which has been in business since 1965.
We're known for our nylon flags. They're heavy duty, sewn together, nylon. We trace and cut out our emblems.
From pennant flags to complete kits, including a pole, there's no shortage of options. And customers feel it's more important than ever right now to publicly show their patriotism.
Born and raised in Canada, and forever will be here. And I will stop Donald Trump from taking over.
The strained relationship between Canada and the United States has led to soaring sales for souvenir shops like this one in Toronto. Owner Sak Gupta says the elbows up mentality has led to booming business.
We have sold caps. We have sold lapel pins. In fact, lapel pin that goes on your lapel, on your coat. I sold unbelievable number, maybe 50,000 pieces.
And whether it's a small pin or large flag, it's a powerful gesture of pride this Canada Day.
All right, coming up, Ainsley is live at the Arberg Heritage Village. We're going to find out a little bit more about the history of this place, as well as some of the structures in the museum. Stay with us.
CTV Morning Live is brought to you by Robin's Donuts, your favorite stop.
All right, we've got some sunshine to kick us off this morning. 14 degrees, very light winds, which will stay that way today out of the east-northeast right now, just 4 kilometers per hour. The pressure rising and the humidity sitting at 93%. Sunny, a little bit muggy out there. You're going to notice that humidity, the dampness from the passing precipitation last night, and in fact, some places still seeing some of that activity. Thunderstorms lighting up in areas just to the south of us, Morden-Winkler area, and right through the southeastern corner of the province. Parts of northwestern Ontario may also see that activity this morning. Now that it's passed on through for our area, mainly sunny conditions expected through the day today. Soaring temperatures, though, up to a hot high of 29 degrees with those northeast winds staying light, only 10 kilometers per hour. 25 degrees just for a reference point. That's normal for this time of year, so pushing up into the high 20s today. Could get even hotter in the days ahead this week. Down to 13 overnight. Those clear conditions will remain. Winds starting to shift, though, out of the southeast overnight. Still remaining fairly light, but increasing for tomorrow. At times, those winds gusting up to 50 kilometers per hour. 32 degrees. It's going to be hot. It's going to be sunny. And then we're very likely to see some storms rolling through in the overnight hours, giving us a few more clouds lingering throughout Friday, but still with the heat. And then those temperatures slowly dropping off, slightly below seasonal Sunday, only a little bit though, before we're back up to normal and seeing those temperatures on the rise again next week.
Thank you, Terry. RCMP continued to investigate a fatal collision early Monday in the RM of Hanover. Police say 22-year-old Steinbach man died in a two-vehicle crash at around midnight on Highway 12, about a kilometer south of Highway 303. Officers said the driver of one of the vehicles was pronounced dead at the scene. The other driver, a 20-year-old man from the RM of de Salaberry, was transported to hospital in critical condition. He has since been upgraded to stable condition. A dual Canadian-American citizen who U.S. authorities allege was part of a deadly human smuggling operation will remain in custody. The U.S. Justice Department said 34-year-old Timothy Oakes was involved in the March 2023 drowning deaths of an Indian family and a Romanian family on the St. Lawrence River. Oakes' brother also died in the incident. The U.S. Justice Department arrested Oakes as he attempted to enter the United States last month. An out-of-control wildfire in the southern BC community of Lytton has prompted a local state of emergency and evacuation order.
There is currently one dwelling or two properties that are on evacuation order. The Lytton First Nation has issued an alert for several other properties. The fire has not grown in size over the course of the day, so we're still at 5.73 hectares in size.
It's one of more than 70 wildfires currently burning across British Columbia. In 2021, a wildfire devastated the village, killing 2 people and forcing hundreds to flee. A punishing wildfire season in Saskatchewan has resulted in devastating loss for many people. It's what fueled a young boy's determination to step up and help his family and make the grass a bit greener. CTV's Carla Shinkarek explains.
10-year-old Hunter Larson found out on June 2nd that his dad's house in Denair Beach was destroyed by wildfire. It's a house he lived in part-time.
We lost both our houses in Denair, and my dad is living in his van with my dog. I cried at first, but like 2 days later, I was fine.
The school year ended early because of wildfires encroaching on Creighton, where he lives. So he had some extra time on his hands and started thinking of a way he could help.
So Hunter wanted to raise some money to help his dad out because they lost both of the homes on the property in Denair Beach.
So he decided to use his lawn mowing skills, ones he's been working on since he was 8 years old. He's mowed 30 lawns already and raised $1,500.
It's been quite devastating, so this has kept our minds off things, that's for sure.
He says it's hard work mowing lawns from about noon until 8 at night, but says it's all worth it.
They're proud of me for doing this. And they thank me for doing this.
His mom isn't surprised by Hunter's determination.
He's very selfless, though. His entire life, he's just been so helpful. Like, if you ask any of his teachers, he's just like the sweetest, kindest boy. Like, he's just so helpful. He just wants to help everybody.
So does he have a goal that he wants to reach?
So how much would you like to raise?
I don't know.
One thing he does know, he wants to keep up with the project all summer, and they've started a GoFundMe page. Carla Shinkaruk, CTV News, Saskatoon.
One Winnipeg woman known by neighbors as the Flag Fairy was kept busy recently. For over 25 years, Shelley Kent has been placing Canada flags at the end of her neighbors' sidewalks. The long-standing tradition began when Shelley invited some neighbors over for a Canada Day party and put the flags out at the neighbors who were coming. She felt bad for the other neighbors who didn't get flags, and so the annual patriotic display grew.
And we got more flags, and then just every year it became a tradition that at 6 o'clock in the morning I'd take my dog that I had at the time and walk it and put the flags out at everybody's front porch, or actually at the end of their sidewalks. And then we'd go for a walk afterwards and looking at them.
From sidewalks to sidelines, Canada flags were also on full display Tuesday at the Princess Auto Stadium. Tailgate activities and performances were held at the stadium to celebrate the nation's birthday, along with the Grey Cup on full display. Canadian basketball superstar Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has signed a record-breaking contract.
7 on the 24, three-pointer SGA, puts it in.
The gifted point guard's new 4-year deal, worth an eye-popping $285 million, is the richest annual salary in NBA history. He's fresh off capturing his first career championship with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Here's a look now what's happening on the Norwood Bridge. Things are moving well, starting off, picking up though over here in this part. It's a beautiful start to the day though. If you see any issues out on the streets, please let us know. Here's a look at your gas prices. The Canadian average is $1.34. The provincial average is lower at $1.30. In Winnipeg, the average is $1.29. The lowest price in the city is $1.19. All this info is on gasbuddy.com.
Price at the pump brought to you by kidneycard.ca. Get a free tow and a tax receipt for value of your car.
Let's go back now to the Arberg Heritage Village, where Ainsley McPhail is live this morning. It's a beautiful place to start your day. Ainsley, good morning.
Good morning, Rochelle. It absolutely is. And for the first time ever, we're doing a segment in front of the caboose. You're not going to believe where it was before this, and we're going to get a little bit of history as well. Joining me is Kyler, a summer student here. So take us back in time. How did it get here, and where is it from?
Well, the railway came to Arberg around 1910 or so from the movement of Captain Sigtryggur Jónasson, the father of New Iceland, and the town kind of just sprang up after that. This caboose, actually, you won't believe it, we got it from a McDonald's on Pembina Highway. Crazy. You'd never think just looking at it that it came from a McDonald's.
I love it. It's a rich history here in Manitoba. Let's talk about what would have happened physically at that time. Not when it came here, but the railway time. There were people actually sleeping in there.
Oh, yeah, the engine crew slept in there, actually. And they had a desk full of, like, logs of all the stuff they were pulling.
Mm-hmm. And the caboose, they would have been overseeing what exactly?
They would have been able to look up in a crow's nest up at the top there to look over the load of the train.
Wow, this is great. And yeah, as you can see, there's the smaller diorama here. But I do want to take you guys inside, because you might not know that in this segment we've got a little bit of a sneak peek for you as well. What are we about to see, Kyler?
We're about to see something very interesting, a model of Arberg Main Street circa 1953 or so, built by Joe Stoyanowski over about 2 years.
And how is this all put together? Because I can see that it really is a time capsule.
Oh yeah, we have the model here showing up the main street. On the other side of the model, we have railway tools and stuff, some other smaller model trains. In the back, there's a uniform from John Stoller, the original conductor who traveled the line to Arberg for 36 years. And in the back, we have a bed to represent, like, the sleeping quarters for the engine crew.
At the McDonald's on No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Let's talk about your time here as well. You must be learning a lot as a summer student.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We have to go through all the buildings and learn the histories of it and all the histories of the displays and everything. It's crazy. There's so many interesting stories to tell here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And we're going to be continuing to tell them throughout the morning. Coming up at 7:27, we're heading into one of the over 16 heritage buildings.
Okay, thank you, Ainsley. Let's go out to the rooftop now with our Terry Gale. And last night I got some rain, Terry, but some parts didn't.
Well, I mean, I thought most of the city would have, but again, my rain gauge was a little bit cockeyed, so I can't 100% tell. I can see that my patio up here has been rained on, but when I check on my flowers, they do seem dry. I'm going to certainly give them a little bit of water. But I think I also need to teach Catherine Dow and Danny, I think Danny was here on Monday, about deadheading. This is something I learned from Carla Hersina from our Get Growing segments, that when you get the little flowers that are looking all shriveled and sad, they obviously bloomed and then don't look good, you just have to pluck them off. And my neighbor Tammy will say the same thing, that pruning a plant is the message to the plant to grow more. So yes, deadheading, I'll do a little bit of work on these. I bet you by Friday they're going to be looking good again. I'm pretty confident in my outdoor gardening skills. Anyway, it's going to be hot. We're going to get some sunshine now. I'm going to give them a drink as well. If you didn't get the rain last night, I'm surprised, because like I said, those storms passed through most of southern Manitoba and are still passing through areas right along the most southern border. Morden, Winkler, Steinbach, you could still see some morning storms, but then clearing through the day. With the sunshine comes the heat. Mercury will be soaring to above seasonal values today. You might notice just a little bit of that smoky haze lingering. Taking a break right now. We'll be back in a moment with more CTV Morning Live.
CTV Morning Live Weather brought to you by Canadian Footwear, helping you find the perfect fit.
Looking at the early markets, future points to a mixed start on Wall Street. Dow futures are leading the way, up 82 points. S&P 500 futures have gained 6. NASDAQ futures are slightly lower, down 6. The Canadian dollar seeing a slight decrease this morning. Overseas, the Hang Seng is on the rise, up 149 points, while Japan's Nikkei is down 223. Good morning, it is 6:45. Manitoba's police watchdog has been called in to investigate 2 separate instances where someone died in police custody on Friday. The first happened in the morning in Winnipeg. Police say they responded to a report a man was being assaulted by a group of people on Maryland Avenue. They found a man in his 20s who was medically cleared by paramedics and did not want police involved in the assault investigation. However, police say he was detained and brought to Main Street Project because of how intoxicated he was. A few hours later, he experienced a medical event and died. The second happened mid-afternoon in Chimawewin Cree Nation. That's located in the North Interlake west of Grand Rapids. RCMP say they were called to investigate a report of a man behaving erratically. When they arrived, they found a man in medical distress lying in the street. He was brought to the local nursing station but died. The independent investigation unit is now investigating both events. Anyone with information is asked to give them a call. Dozens of new Canadians took their citizenship oath yesterday at a special ceremony in Assiniboine Park, marking a new milestone in their lives.
And that I will faithfully observe the laws of Canada.
30 new Canadians from 12 different countries gathered at the Performance Gardens for the final legal step to become a Canadian citizen.
I became Canadian today, so I really feel very happy to be Canadian here. So I have so many more opportunities.
The special ceremony was one of several events that took place at Assiniboine Park yesterday, including live performances at Lyric Theatre throughout the day. Free trade within this country by Canada Day was a cornerstone of Mark Carney's campaign. And on deadline day, experts agree he lived up to his pledge, but that doesn't mean the work is done. CTV's Colton Prail on what the feds and provinces will have to do to realize the full economic benefits of interprovincial trade.
158 years ago, a few provinces bet on a big idea, that they'd be stronger together than they ever could be apart.
Working together to build one economy, Mark Carney was graded on his economic cornerstone. In its annual report card, the Canadian Federation of Independent Business gave the federal government a B for its work on internal trade, but would upgrade to an A after it dropped all federal free trade exemptions Monday. Ontario and Nova Scotia are the top performing provinces, while Quebec and Newfoundland are the worst.
That's not all of the work. It's really the policy changes and the regulatory work and the standards changes that has to come about for free trade to actually take place.
One of the biggest moves forward was in Carney's Major Projects Bill, C5, legislating a push for increased mutual recognition, where Ottawa will accept one province's standards as equal across the country. Provinces like Ontario, Manitoba, and New Brunswick have already moved to adopt mutual recognition for some alcohol sales, interprovincial labor, and more.
The dialogue, the exchange of data and know-how actually propels towards even better common platforms.
But others are worried.
They're doing this mutual recognition in a way that is going to risk a race to the bottom. So basically the lowest standards in any province being accepted as good enough.
In trucking, that's a concern. Instead, they're hoping the urgency around internal trade will lead to harmonized regulations for oversized cargo, driving restrictions, and rest stops on major highways.
If we want the inputs to go and the freight and the materials to do these nation building projects, this is another foundational piece. It's not rocket science to get this fixed.
While Ottawa focuses on reducing regulations, some economists say the best way to help Canadian trade is to build roads, rails, and ports as quickly as possible.
Passengers on a Disney cruise are sharing what they saw after a father and daughter were rescued after going overboard.
Just saw a bunch of the staff running outside on the 4th floor deck, and I figured something had happened.
This is video of a rescue boat racing to the father and daughter. This happened over the weekend on the last night of a cruise to the Bahamas. One passenger said the girl was sitting on a railing and taking pictures when she fell overboard. Her father then jumped in after her. A man overboard alert then went out as crews were sent to go after the two passengers. Disney didn't give many details other than 2 passengers were rescued. Winnipeg Animal Services is bursting at the seams with dogs. In fact, there are so many dogs in their care, officials are reaching out to the public for help. In an attempt to find some new best friends for the dogs, the city is lowering the price it takes to adopt one. Until this Friday, July 4th, the fee to adopt a dog has been dropped from $330 to $175. This fee includes the cost of spaying or neutering, a tattoo, microchip, and first license. Here's a look at what's happening on Portage Avenue. It looks like things are still pretty light starting off this Wednesday morning, but overall moving quite well. No issues to tell you about at this point. If you see any problems out there, let us know, please.
Yeah, get those sunglasses out, though, for your morning commute. You're going to need them throughout the day today, in fact. It's 14 degrees with light winds out of the east-northeast. The pressure is rising and the humidity is sitting at 93%. It's a little bit muggy out there. We had those storms rolling through last night, and those storms still lingering in areas just to the south of us. You can see through the Morden-Winkler area and anyone right along that most southern border that the storm activity is still very much in action. Northern Manitoba, you're going to enjoy a fair bit of sunshine today and be feeling the heat of it all as well, with low to mid-20s, well, mostly low 20s here in northeastern Manitoba. Northwestern Manitoba might see those temperatures climbing just a few degrees higher, more so into the mid-20s. But again, mainly sunny conditions right across the province, really, just save those few morning storms that'll be rolling in areas south of us. But a hot day today, up to high 20s once we're starting to look through central and southern Manitoba, where 25 degrees is actually normal for this time of year. So surpassing it by a few degrees, but even hotter weather to come. And I mentioned those possible storms this morning. We just saw them on the satellite image, areas just to the south of us, maybe just to the east of us as well. The possibility of some showers with thunderstorms through parts of northwestern Ontario. 29 today, but then hitting up into those low 30s for the next couple of days. Some pretty angry and wicked looking storms rolling through. It'll be Thursday night here in the south, but central and northern Manitoba could see that day side and staying hot right into the coming weekend.
Thank you, Terry. It is literally something right out of Jurassic Park. For 50 years, scientists at the San Diego Zoo have been trying to prevent species from going extinct. Here's ABC's Danny New.
Extract the preserved blood from the mosquito and bingo, dino DNA.
Jurassic Park's whole mosquito trapped in amber method for cloning dinosaurs was, of course, a little unrealistic. But for the San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance, scientists were already onto the cloning animals with preserved DNA idea decades before that movie came out.
The Frozen Zoo is the largest collection of living cell lines and gametes anywhere in the world.
Marlis Hauk here is the curator of the Frozen Zoo, which celebrates its 50th anniversary this year. There are, of course, many big animals at the San Diego Zoo, but for half a century, the Frozen Zoo has been freezing vials of skin, egg, and sperm cells from more than 1,300 species.
You freeze them to live indefinitely. Do you have to feed them?
Very good question. Once they're frozen, we don't have to feed them.
Here is the man who started it all, Dr. Kurt Benershka, who began banking these samples before cloning technology even existed.
He always said, you must collect things for reasons you don't yet understand.
Well, by keeping the cells of more than 11,000 individual animals alive, the Frozen Zoo has been able to contribute to saving critically endangered animals over the years. In the 1980s, their samples helped take the population of the California condor from around 25 to now more than 500. And a few years ago, their sample from 1988 helped clone the black-footed ferret.
It is a race against time for us because as the population of different animals decline, we don't know which species is going to become more rare and endangered in the future.
Today, as they continue to try and bank more and more samples, the Frozen Zoo's next big mission is to train facilities around the world to do the same thing. That way,
we have scientists all around the globe who can help capture this biodiversity.
And biodiversity is key here, since when you have these frozen samples at your disposal, that means you can bring in more genetic diversity down the line to a dwindling population, all vulnerable to the same things. In New York, for ABC News, I'm Danny New.
Canadians take pride in the people, places, and things that make our country unique. And on Canada Day, many stop by to see one Frederickton doctor's passion project, including CTV's Sarah Plowman.
These are the first two panels we did.
No words were used for Brian McKinnon's conversation piece. Face upon face on the front of his house. By now, people have heard.
Wow. Gerald, good to meet you. Happy Canada Day.
And want to see it themselves.
I like the colors and everything. It just sticks right out nice.
The idea sprouted from the artist's imagination. Celebrate those who had an impact on his life by digitally painting them and putting their faces on panels. Meet these 250.
All of these faces are jazzed up versions of people that I've known throughout my life. I wanted to make a really powerful work that people would respond to the instant they saw it.
The faces are mostly Canadian and mostly positive, but some are angry. Thankfully, that's not how McKinnon's wife felt when he surprised her with the new addition.
It's absolutely wonderful to me. It's colorful. It brings you joy to look at it.
The artist is a partially retired doctor whose passion has always been projects like this. He's decorated his shutters with toys. That clothesline is actually a sculpture. Inside, work hangs in every room, brightening up all angles. He's played with toys, colors, and shapes, but the physician's biggest fascination is faces.
Well, I think they tell you more about the personality of individuals than any other part of the body do. I think the hands and the movement of our hands do something, but there's nothing like a face, and there's nothing nearly as interesting to me as a human.
Good luck finding yours, though, or his. Is your face here?
I can't tell you.
It's more like a game of guess who. Perhaps that's the point, and a way to engage the artist and onlookers' imaginations. Sarah Plowman, CTV News, Fredericton.
The Winnipeg Seabears season continues, and we want you to be part of the action. The Seabears will hit the court against the Calgary Surge on July 17th. So if you want to be in the stands, we've got the contest for you. CTV Morning Live is giving away a family pack of 4 tickets to give away to the game. Head over to our website, ctvnewswinnipeg.ca, and hit our contest page for all the entry details. Don't miss your shot. Good morning. It is 7 a.m. on Thursday, July 2nd. You're watching CTV Morning Live. Thank you so much for being with us. Trade talks are officially back on between Canada and the U.S. after the Liberals scrapped their digital services tax. So we're going to hear from the Manitoba Chambers of Commerce what they think about scrapping that tax and what the trade talks resuming, what that means for our economy as well as for Canada as a whole. But first, your headlines. Canada Day celebrations from coast to coast, how Canadians came together amid global uncertainty. Plus, city parking stations get the boot. What does this mean for your next trip downtown? And donkeys dressed to impress in Colombia. Who took home top prize at this hoof-tapping contest? Bringing in Terry Gale now, our brand new, newly married weather person.
Thank you.
It was a lovely weekend.
It was a lovely weekend. You're right. I was married over the weekend. For those of you that follow me on Instagram, Kat was out of the bag, but we mentioned it this morning in my new name. We don't get to see the keys here, but I'm excited to see what it looks like. Terry Gale.
Looks good. Looks good.
Yeah. So anyway, it was a beautiful weekend. It was a beautiful Canada Day up until late afternoon. That's when the skies seemed to open up and put a bit of a damper on a lot of people's celebrations. Those storms continued into the evening overnight, but this morning clearing out and we're back to the sunshine again. 14 degrees right now with east-northeast winds 4 kilometers per hour. The pressure is rising and the humidity sitting at 93%. Storms, though, are still hitting in areas to the south of us. You can see showing up there on the satellite image in the Morton-Winkler, Altona areas, Steinbach, anyone right along that most southern border and maybe even into parts of northwestern Ontario. Fairly clear through most of the province today, and it's going to be a warm one with temperatures on on the rise and hitting above seasonal values in most places. Those clear conditions will be enjoyed for today, and even overnight, tomorrow's going to start to look a little bit different. Beginning with the precipitation across the most northern part of the province. That'll be early in the morning Thursday. By Thursday into the evening time, you can see west central Manitoba beginning to see some of that activity and looking a little bit angrier anytime you're starting to see the yellows or the oranges showing up. Speaking of angrier, here's a look at the overnight storms rolling right over Winnipeg and much of southern Manitoba. We could be woken by some of those thunder cracks likely, because that system does look a little bit intense for the overnight hours. Back to the sunshine again, or maybe not quite as much. Back to the heat though, most definitely. 25 degrees normal, will go above it today, but even hotter through the rest of this week. And our art today, thank you very much to Mitchell, or pardon me, oh, it looks like this is Morgan's picture that we're showing. There were two sent in the same one, a brother and sister team. So Morgan's name is on the art. That's who gets the credit this morning. We're going to be showcasing art every day here on the show. So take a picture of your coloring, drawing, whatever it is, and email us winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
Thank you, Terry. Time has finally expired for parking pay stations along Winnipeg streets and in city-owned lots. As of today, the city will begin the process of removing those pay stations, which the city says have become technologically obsolete and too costly to replace. The city recommends that drivers download the Pay by Phone mobile app for parking transactions. In May, Mayor Scott Gillingham told CTV News 80% of all parking payments are already made via the app. The removal process is expected to be completed by the end of August. The only exception is the Millennium Library Parkade, which will still have pay stations available. Private parking lots will not be impacted by the change. At a time when Canada has faced months of threats to its sovereignty and economy, Canadians stood united on Tuesday, honoring the people who live here and have built this nation. A surge of patriotism swept from coast to coast to coast. Here's CTV's Rachel Aiello with more on the celebration in a sea of red and white in the nation's capital.
National pride swelled all around this Canada Day.
Definitely feeling pretty patriotic today.
Elbows up and all.
That patriotism peaking in the capital.
I think we have all the feels about Canada right now. Elbows up for sure.
What makes you the proudest to be Canadian?
We get to be free.
Well, happy birthday, Canada.
Canadians from coast to coast to coast came together to celebrate the country's 158th. Among the revelers, Ottawa's Joan O'Malley, who 60 years ago sewed the first prototype of the Canadian flag. And Cape Breton singer-songwriter Heather Rankin, as well as Vancouver-born actor and businessman Ryan Reynolds, who were invested as officers of the Order of Canada for their contributions. This year's bash was big, but the strained relationship with the United States also loomed large over Mark Carney's first Canada Day as Prime Minister.
We find ourselves in a situation where our economy is being attacked. As the world becomes more divided and dangerous, Canadians are uniting.
The sovereignty threats from south of the border motivated many to brave the Ottawa humidity as a show of unity.
This year more than any, we need to come together and celebrate what a fantastic country we have.
It's been a really challenging year in some ways for Canada, but I think we've really come together and responded positively.
Celebrating her first Canada Day in the country as a citizen, one Torontonian who came to the capital had a message for Americans.
We are strong and free, and we will always be.
Canadian Heritage says thousands attended events in the capital, joining millions more in towns and cities right across this beautiful country. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
The U.S. Senate has passed President Trump's sweeping domestic policy bill by the narrowest of votes.
The bill as amended is passed.
Vice President J.D. Vance cast the deciding vote to break a 50-50 tie after a tense overnight session. The massive bill now goes to the House of Representatives, where Republicans hope to pass it along to Trump's desk by his July 4th deadline. So you haven't made it downtown yet to try crossing Portage and Main for the first time? No worries, a local tech company has you covered.
You can see, like, as I'm walking, like, I'm in this flower bed, and it knows the height difference, which is cool. Like, our team members did that.
This is a virtual rendering of Winnipeg's iconic intersection by local virtual production company, Copilot Co. And it offers users the chance to assume the role of a robot-looking avatar and explore the intersection. But the technology at work here is more than just a creative exercise.
What we're wanting to see and do is bring more producers, directors, and production companies here to Manitoba. So an easy way to do that is to get them to actually be able to do virtual scouts here in the city. So they can pick the places that are very popular. Our street gets shut down all the time for Hallmarks, for Universal prop movies. Like, it's a very popular place. So if we can create this and set this up in a way where people can view it virtually, anywhere in the world, they can pick the lighting that they want to. It would be exactly
Copilot co-founder Austin Mackay says they are currently virtually creating the entire Exchange District to show off to film producers. You can head to copilotco.io to learn more. The 19th annual regional donkey contest in Central Columbia has gone off without a hitch. The contest is meant to honor donkeys and local farmers who have been partners working together for years. Organizers also say it's all about shining a spotlight on the important role donkeys play in farming life. Highlights included a donkey costume contest and an impressive competition. Here's a look at what's going on in traffic on McPhillip Street. Things are slowly picking up over here. No issues to tell you about at this point, though. If you see any issues out there, let us know, please.
Stock market trading will resume in Canada today after pausing for the Canada Day holiday yesterday. And the S&P TSX Composite Index will begin today's session at 26,857 points. It's now up more than 8.5% so far this year. U.S. stocks, meanwhile, did trade yesterday, and futures contracts on the three main U.S. stock indices were mainly higher this morning. The first shipment of Canadian liquefied natural gas is now on an ocean-going vessel on its way from Kitimat, British Columbia to buyers in Asia. The LNG Canada plant near Kitimat was under development for about 7 years and includes the Haisla First Nation as one of its joint venture partners. Shell, the global oil and gas giant, owns 40% of the facility. Prime Minister Mark Carney said, quote, "Canada has what the world needs." With LNG Canada's first shipment to Asia, Canada is exporting its energy to reliable partners, diversifying trade and reducing global emissions, all in partnership with Indigenous peoples. Finally, the Canadian dollar was trading at 73.3 cents U.S. this morning. From the BNN Bloomberg Newsroom in Toronto, I'm Paul Bagnall.
Let's go now to Ainsley McPhail, who's live in Arberg this morning, visiting the Heritage Village. Good morning, Ainsley.
Rochelle, we are taking you back to the early 1900s, and if you're sitting at home thinking, hey, I really could use an upgrade on my home, you know, I've had a couple more kids, maybe think about the Branson family, because they had 13 people living in this house. Now, at the time, this would have been considering a large home. It was 10 children, the mom and the dad, and the mother of the husband. So the original furniture is actually donated from the family, and we're going to be heading in coming up at 7:27. They also had a blind man living on their property as well, and what they would do is they put a rope that connected from their home to his home so he could come across. The home itself also was relocated from one side of the Icelandic River all the way to the other. One of the family members, too, world-renowned for butter making, and there's a specific room dedicated to that as well. The heritage site, it's such a beautiful morning. There's over 16 different buildings. We're going to be going to the barn later as well, and so much more.
I love it. We could hear the birds in the background. Thank you, Ainsley. Let's go out to the rooftop now. Any birds singing out there right now, Terry?
No, I don't think birds want to come by because my flowers look so sad. I'm kidding. No, I'm just giving Catherine and Danny a hard time. And honestly, I'm sure they're going to spring back again. I have complete faith. You would have thought that that rain that fell last night would have perked my flowers up somewhat. I was checking, though, you know, the soil to see how much rainfall. Well, first of all, my rain gauge, which was pretty much at a 45-degree angle, collected nothing, but even the soil bone dry. And while I'm seeing a bit of a dampness to the deck up here, it doesn't look like we got as much rain. Usually the rooftop next to me, water collects there, and I always refer to it as my rooftop pool. It too bone dry, so I don't think we got anywhere near as much rain here right downtown as even my patio, which got a good soaking. I know because I left my cushions out there. I was kind of irritated with that. Anyway, lots of places in the city saw those storms rolling through. They began yesterday afternoon, continued on through the night, and still this morning there's areas to the south of us around Morden, Winkler, Steinbach, Altona areas. That's where the storms are still rolling this morning. We'll head further east, perhaps into parts of northwestern Ontario. Most of the province today will just be soaking up the sunshine and collecting those heat temperatures too. Bear with me, I'm still a little bit foggy from the weekend. Anyway, mercury will be on the rise. Above seasonal temperatures expected for everyone. It's going to be hot today, even hotter for the rest of the week. 29 degrees on tap and plenty of sunshine to go with it.
CTV Morning Live Weather brought to you by Garage Masters, your complete garage specialists.
Thank you, Terry. Time now to check in on our question of the day. We want to know, what was your favorite summer activity as a kid? Our question of the day has moved from Twitter, so now we want you to text your answer along with your name to 10400. Make sure to follow the automated instructions so we can feature your response. At CTV Morning Live, we're all about celebrating your amazing pets, whether they're furry, feathered, or scaly. Your Pet of the Week submissions are amazing. We want more, whether they're dogs, cats, birds, or any other pet pals. Send them our way. Drop your pet photos and a fun little story about them to petoftheweek@ctv.ca, and then catch us every Thursday between 6 to 9 to find out if your pet is our Pet of the Week on CTV Morning Live. We're going to take a break here. We'll be back after this. Good morning. It is 7:16. RCMP continued to investigate a fatal collision early Monday in the RM of Hanover. Police say a 22-year-old Steinbach man died in a two-vehicle crash at around midnight on Highway 12, about a kilometer south of Highway 303. Officers said the driver of one of the vehicles was pronounced dead at the scene. The other driver, a 20-year-old man from the RM of De Salaberry, was transported to hospital in critical condition. He has since been upgraded to stable condition. The Winnipeg Police Service is expecting to be about $4.2 million over budget this year. That's according to its first quarter financial report, which shows both revenue and expenses are slightly higher than expected. The force attributes the bulk of the red ink to a $5 million savings target, which it expects to partially achieve. Inflation also drove up costs, particularly for vehicle insurance and equipment. The Jets' whiteout street parties also helped push overtime expenses over budget by $1 million. The Finance Committee will review the report next week. The provinces are starting to feel pressure after Ottawa removed all federal exceptions from the Canadian Free Trade Agreement this week.
You're also going to see premiers and provinces want to sort of jump in on this train because this is a popular thing at the moment, given the U.S. trade conflict that we sort of get our so-called act together, as many would say.
In recent months, the provinces have taken steps to remove their barriers to interprovincial trade. Ottawa has said it will continue working with the premiers to eliminate all barriers and create free trade within Canada. More progress by the provinces will be shared at a meeting of the Committee on Internal Trade on July the 8th. 4-year-old Findus is really turning some heads when he's out and about with his owner.
Normally, everybody just smiles and says, you know, how cute it is and how great it is that my cat will never do that. To which I reply, well, you have to try.
He's just one of many cats wearing a popular pet harness sold by a Vancouver-based company. They say the cat harnesses actually sell better than the dog ones. RC Pets say they've sold nearly 500,000 adventure kitty harnesses. Findus is pretty popular himself. His Instagram account documenting all of his travels has at 115,000 followers and counting. Here's a look at what's happening on St. Mary's Road. Traffic is moving quite well over here. No traffic delays to tell you about at this point. If you see any trouble out on the streets, let us know, please. Time now for some entertainment news. Big news for fans of BTS. The K-pop supergroup will launch its next album in the spring ahead of a world tour. The group will travel to the U.S. this month to begin work on the album. It will be the first full-length release since 2020, and the tour will be the first for BTS in about 4 years. The members put their music career on hold in 2022 to begin their mandatory military service in South Korea. They have now reunited after fulfilling their duty. One of the main stars in Jurassic World Rebirth is not just on screen, he's behind the music too.
Jonathan asked, can I come along to the recording sessions? And he said, maybe, I could play with the orchestra for the movie.
An opportunity to play with 105
Jonathan Bailey asked the director of the film if he could tag along to the recording sessions. Bailey said he played in an orchestra when he was 18 years old. He ended up playing with a 105-piece orchestra at Abbey Road. Bailey has a clarinet solo for one of the scenes he's in. By the way, the movie is officially out in theaters today. Your primetime lineup kicks off at 7 with a rerun of The Big Bang Theory, followed by Battle of the Generations, and E-Talk wraps up the night at 10:30, all right here on CTV. It's that time of year again, and CTV and Chicken Chef want to know, how are you soaking up the Manitoba sunshine? Whether you're roasting marshmallows under the stars or dancing at your favorite festival, we want to see the special moments that make your summer shine. Upload a photo of your Manitoba Summer Fun for a chance to win the $5,000 grand prize. You'll also be in the running for daily draws and tasty surprises from Chicken Chef. Plus, you could win one of 4 $250 gift cards from Wine Sense. So snap that perfect shot and share your summer with us today. Spent the day yesterday, Terry, at Falcon Beach, just hanging out in the sun. It was perfect.
Did you get any fireworks? You probably weren't out that late.
I left before then, but
because we had to get up early.
Yes, exactly. But it was a perfect weekend to get away and be on the beach.
Very nice. We had a lot of heat this weekend, and of course for the Canada Day festivities as well. We're still going to be feeling that heat throughout the rest of this week. Looking now through the Bathfitter Live Eye Bathfitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years. It's bright, it's sunny, it's still stormy in some places. I'll show you the satellite image in just a second, but first, let's talk temps, because around 13 degrees would be a normal low temperature. We're back up above it now. Well, we never did dip below it. 14 degrees was our coolest temperature here in Winnipeg, but we are on the rise again, now sitting at 15. We're seeing some high teens as well through parts of the south. West central Manitoba is a little bit closer to those seasonal temperatures, and then northern Manitoba just slightly cooler yet, although some places that were in the high single digits last hour have now bumped up into the double digits. So everybody is already starting to feel those temps on the rise, and it is going to be a clear, bright and sunny day today with just a little bit of lingering storm activity rolling through in the very southern stretch of Manitoba, right along that most southern borders where the storms are still moving this morning, but only for another hour or so before they're clearing out of the way. As we watch the mercury throughout the province today, you can see that everybody will be feeling the heat. By noontime, I've stopped at high teens and low 20s up north. We're already in the mid-20s. A seasonal high of 25 will be reached by about noontime today, but we'll continue to climb beyond that to about 29 this afternoon, and even northern Manitoba then low to mid-20s expected as your high temperatures for today. Then tomorrow, even warmer yet, into the low 30s, with a good chance of some storms throughout the province tomorrow. Northern Manitoba sees it earlier in the day. We'll see it overnight, and still with those hot temps continuing through the rest of the week. Those storms last night did look pretty incredible. Curtis snapped this picture in Niverville. Thank you for sharing this. Keep them coming, please, to Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca.
Thanks, Terry. It's a skin infection caused by a virus most commonly seen in children. It can spread through shared items like towels or pool equipment. Here's more from CNN's Mandy Gaither.
It's a common contagious skin virus. The CDC says mostly affects children ages 1 to 10. Molluscum contagiosum causes small raised sores on the body. Parents should know it can be spread by touching someone who has it or through infected surfaces or objects.
So the lesions will be pink and fairly smooth.
They can range in size from 1 to 5 millimeters, and the locations on the body tend to be more often in our skin-to-skin contact areas, like under the arm, at the bend of the knee, bend of the elbow, sometimes the groin.
Dr. Joan Tamboro with Cleveland Clinic says the virus can live in moist environments that can include towels, clothing, toys, or pool equipment.
The most common place to get it is from another sibling. So in the home, a few things that you can try to do is, one, to switch off the towel and washcloth, between bathing.
Tamboro says parents can also help stop the spread by washing hands frequently, bathing siblings separately if one child is infected with the virus, and by covering the skin lesions with clothing. Many times the virus clears on its own without treatment, so Tamboro says it's just something for parents to be aware of.
They certainly should watch their children and make sure that they're not having symptoms from this virus, which would include itch, sometimes pain, and redness of the skin.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
If you've never been to the Winnipeg Folk Festival, this is the moment you've been waiting for. We're giving away a pair of tickets for a weekend of music and good vibes on July 12th and 13th. Whether you're a music lover, a festival newbie, or just looking for the perfect weekend plan, this is your chance to be part of one of Manitoba's most iconic summer traditions. To enter, head to the contest page on our website, ctvnewswinnipeg.ca, and enter the clue word 50. Good luck. Coming up, Ainsley McPhail is live at the Arberg Village. We're going to find out a little bit more about the Branson House. Stay with us. Let's go back now to Arberg, where Ainsley McPhail is live this morning. You're giving us a sneak peek inside a really historical building. Good morning.
Good morning, Michelle. We're in the Branson House, and there were 13 people living in this house, 10 children. And off camera, cameraman Kenny said, well, how many bedrooms are there? He said 2. He said, how did 10 children sleep in this? And I said, haven't you ever been to college, Ken? You got to find a place to sleep. This is awesome. Ben is joining me now. He's a summer student, and we're going to get a tour. A lot of the stuff that was in here is original from the family.
Yes, it is.
And tell me about this family and its history, taking us back to the early 1900s.
Well, first this house was built by Stephen Anderson in the 1900s, and then later sold to the Branson. Now Sigurdor and Diza lived in this house with their 10 children and with Sigurdor's mother. And
at some point I heard too that they actually moved the house from one side of the river to the other. What a feat.
From the north side of the Icelandic River, when it was frozen, they lifted the house up and pulled it by horse across the river.
Very, very fitting to the time. Now, when it comes to the history of the home, aside from the original artifacts, we're really painting a picture of what the time would have been like, but also who the people were behind it.
The people behind it, they like to work outside and do all that. And then their son, Oscar, became a very famous butter maker. One day, the family had about 60 people stop in for cake and tea or coffee, and their daughter, who had to do dishes, was not very happy. I can tell you that.
Now, he said 60, not 16 people, 60 people. Wow. And lots of... because this wouldn't have actually been part of the house at the time. This is something that's been added for the museum's purposes to really give people an idea of just how good he was. What made me chuckle too, Ben, was the appeared to the right here, the bacon and ham show. Lots of awards.
Yeah, he was made butter, very famous, and he sold it all around, and he became well known for selling butter.
Now, we're not sure if the family is still here in Arberg, but potentially.
Potentially they could be, yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, with that many kids, you just never know, right? Small town. So I guess if you're watching this and you're from that family, send us a note. Say hi. Coming up at 7:42, we're exploring another one of the buildings.
Okay, thank you, Ainsley. And it's such a beautiful day to go venture out and maybe visit a museum here in Manitoba, Terry.
Absolutely. Slather up with the sunscreen first, though. Take some water with you. Hydrate through the day. It is going to be hot no matter where you go. 15 degrees right now, a little bit humid as well with those winds very light. No relief from the breeze. A west wind at 4 kilometers per hour with the pressure rising and the humidity sitting up there at 97%. So there is definitely a bit of a muggy feeling to the air, and it's going to get hot today. Stormy is what it was last night. A lot of people perhaps noticed that activity, maybe putting a bit of a damper on your Canada Day festivities. Well, here's still the lingering activity you can see on the satellite image is hitting in areas just to the south of us, but almost now moving south of that international line, perhaps a little bit more to still be making an appearance off to the east of us. Parts of northwestern Ontario could see some showers or thunderstorms today. But now mainly sunny conditions expected throughout Manitoba. We're going to be feeling the heat, though. Southern Manitoba, especially with the high 20s expected, low to mid 20s for northern Manitoba, but 29 here in Winnipeg today with, as I mentioned, no relief from the breeze. Northeast winds will remain light at about 10 kilometers per hour, shifting out of the southeast overnight. Still very, very light with clear conditions as we drop down to a seasonal 13. Tomorrow, even hotter yet, could get stormy. Northern Manitoba, central Manitoba could be seeing some dayside activity. For us, those storms will be rolling through overnight, but 32 degrees is what we're expecting through the day. Still in those low 30s as we're wrapping up the week, cooling only slightly for the weekend, dipping barely below seasonal Sunday before the mercury is on the rise again as we see the sunshine returning for next week.
Thank you, Terry. A woman is facing several mischief charges following an incident early Tuesday morning. Winnipeg police say just after midnight on July the 1st, they arrested a 30-year-old woman at Assiniboine Park Drive and Commissary Road when the windshields of 5 vehicles were smashed out. The owners of the parked vehicles were nearby and witnessed a woman damaging their cars with her purse. They waited for police as the suspect, who was unknown to the witnesses, remained on scene and appeared to be intoxicated. Police took her into custody and seized a purse that contained a heavy rock inside. She's facing 5 mischief charges and was eventually released on an undertaking. The middle-class tax cut promised by the Liberal government is now in effect. The cut drops the lowest marginal personal income tax rate from 15% to 14%. The Liberals predicted the average family will save $840 on next year's taxes, while the Parliamentary Budget Office estimates it will only be $280. Ontario Provincial Police warn there may still be suspects on the loose after an armed home invasion near Huntsville. Officers responded to a call early yesterday morning, leading to a shelter-in-place order. Their investigation then moved beyond the home to Highway 11. Lanes were closed in both directions for hours. People were told to lock their car doors while stuck in traffic. Police say 6 suspects were arrested, but they didn't say how many others may still be on the loose. Investigators are also looking for a silver Honda CR-V. Huntsville is about 230 kilometers north of Toronto. A dual Canadian-American citizen who U.S. authorities allege was part of a deadly human smuggling operation will remain in custody. The U.S. Justice Department said 34-year-old Timothy Oakes was involved in the March 2023 drowning deaths of an Indian family and a Romanian family on the St. Lawrence River. Oakes' brother also died in the incident. The U.S. Justice Department arrested Oakes as he attempted to enter the United States last month. There has been an explosion at a fireworks warehouse in Northern California. The explosion sent a large column of smoke into the sky. Crews say fire from the explosion spread to half a kilometer away, forcing some people out of their homes. No word yet on any possible injuries from the explosion. Officials say the warehouse is licensed to handle fireworks. The cause of the blast is under investigation. The White House has stopped the shipment of some weapons to Ukraine. Reuters is reporting the weapons being held back include air defense missiles, other precision munitions. The White House says it is slowing the shipment of weapons because of concerns over its own stockpile. Russia has recently stepped up attacks on Ukraine, launching airstrikes almost every night. The Dalai Lama has confirmed he will have a successor after his death. The centuries-old Tibetan Buddhist institution will continue after years of speculation that Dalai Lama would be the last person to hold the role. The Dalai Lama laid out his succession plan in a recorded statement at a religious gathering in India. He said the process of finding and recognizing his reincarnation lies solely with the nonprofit organization founded by him in 2015. But China has said it alone has the authority to approve the next leader, with experts believing there could be rival Dalai Lamas. For some celebrating Canada Day, the entertainment came to them. Over 100 people at the Fred Douglas Chateau, a 55-plus community downtown, got to experience a live jazz band Tuesday. Called the Executive Band, the group is composed of 18 retirees who used to play professionally.
If you look at what people are wearing today, I think there's a whole lot of appreciation for Canada now, maybe far more than there was in other years, just realizing how blessed we are to live in Canada.
4 members of the brass band are residents of the community, and they all played their tunes free of charge. Here's a look at what's happening on the St. James Bridge. Things are moving quite well starting off this Wednesday morning. No issues to tell you about in traffic. If you see any problems out there, though, please let us know. And here's a look at your gas prices. The Canadian average is $1.34. The provincial average is at $1.30. In Winnipeg, the average is $1.29. The lowest price in the city is $1.17. All this info is on gasbuddy.com.
Price at the pump brought to you by kidneycard.ca. Get a free tow and a tax receipt for value of your car.
Right now, we're sitting under sunny skies. It's 15 degrees. More news, weather, and traffic after the break.
CTV Morning Live is brought to you by Robin's Donuts, your favorite stop.
Hi. It's 15 degrees outside this morning with those winds on the lighter side. They're out of the west right now, just 4 kilometers per hour. The pressure is rising and the humidity sitting at 97%. Looking pretty good outside this morning, seeing plenty of sunshine, returning to the sunshine now. I'm sure you saw those or heard those storms rolling through yesterday afternoon and evening. Still seeing just the lingering bits of storm activity in areas to the south of us, although it does look like it's tapering off and starting to move south of the international border, with perhaps a bit more still to come throughout parts of northwestern Ontario. Most of Manitoba will be now in the clear, sunshine throughout, soaring temperatures to go with it. Pretty much above seasonal no matter where you go. For your region, your temperatures will be a little bit warmer than you would expect this time of year. So that'll put you up into those low 20s all through northeastern Manitoba. Sunshine pretty much across the entire province, as I mentioned, but even warmer yet here in northwestern Manitoba, pushing more so into those mid-20 temps. 25 degrees, that would be a normal daytime high here through southern Manitoba, and most of us will be soaring beyond that into the high 20s today. It's muggy out there, though. That lingering storm activity has left the humidity very high this morning, so you're going to notice that. Also, if you're spending time outdoors today, make sure that you're staying hydrated, slathering up with the sunscreen. You're certainly going to need it. I mentioned just that lingering bit of storm activity in areas to the south of us, but maybe also just to the east of us. Kenora, Fort Frances could be seeing some of that as well. Clear then for tomorrow, at least through the daytime, but storms could rage overnight. Hot temperatures to finish off this week, pushing even warmer yet with some low 30s on tap Thursday and Friday.
Thank you, Terry. Let's go back now to Ainsley McPhail, who's live at the Arberg Heritage Village this morning. It's a cool place, isn't it?
Rochelle, what's really cool too is it's a group of different cultures all on one land, which really is what Manitoba makes us so special, right? We've got Ukrainian, Icelandic, Indigenous heritage all in one space here in Arberg. A summer student, Jamie, joins us now, and we're learning about the St. Demetrius Ukrainian Catholic Church. The first question too, and it's a fun fact, is how tall the cross is up top.
The cross up top there is 5 feet tall.
And how did this church come to this site?
They moved it here from the Baharmi area, 4 miles north of Arberg. When they were moving it, the floor caved in, and they needed to fix it. And they did fix it.
Well, I can't wait to take a peek inside, because what's unique too is that some of it is original, some of it has been restored, as you mentioned, but when you walk in, it is like a time capsule. Like, you really are with the people there back all those years ago. Let's talk about what has been original and what's not.
So the statues would have been original. The candles would have been original. Those two, what are they called? Photos up there. The banners, the middle parts, there are original. The yellow part, though, the yellow fabric, have been replaced.
And the stained glass too, there's a way to determine whether or not it was original or not. Some is, some isn't.
The original stained glass, when you look out it, stuff's kind of warped, and that's because the glass was blown and not like made how they do it nowadays.
I haven't, and this is just a silly thing that I was saying this morning, is I don't want to stand under the chandelier simply because I know how many people it took to get it up there and what it's made of.
It's made out of almost all glass. It took 4 men to lower it and raise it.
Wow, pretty heavy. Before we're out of time, you've been having fun as a summer student here. What's the best part?
Getting to know the history of the area.
Yeah, and we've been doing that all morning long. 8 o'clock hour, we've got more.
Thank you, Ainsley. Graduation season is a time for both celebration and reflection, particularly for two sisters who recently graduated together. The pair was born 10 years apart and recently fulfilled a promise they made to their late father. CTV's Adrian Gabriel reports.
A shared grief turned to growth.
At a young age, like, no one expects to just lose their parent.
Sonia Pasquale and her sister Shabna Sahi are 10 years apart. When their father died of leukemia in 2014, the eldest, Pasquale, was forced to drop out of Trent University to work and provide for her 2 younger sisters and mother. Moments before their father died, she made him a promise that she'd one day go back to school.
I promised to take care of his family and step in for him, and I promised to finish, you know, the things that I started, and my education was so important.
She was like the breadwinner of the family, like we were dependent.
A decade after putting her future on hold, Pasquale enrolled at Toronto Metropolitan University to take global management studies. At the same time, and the same school, her younger sister had enrolled in economics and management science.
Something I never would have expected in a million years. It's like we have such a huge age gap. I wouldn't expect that we would be side by.
This month, they each shared
Shabnam Sahi,
the convocation stage together,
Mariam Sahi with distinction,
making them the first 2 from their family to graduate university.
What do you think your father would say as he looks down on each of you this week?
Any little accomplishment we'd had, he'd make a big deal about it, which is amazing because he was very encouraging. So he would be incredibly proud.
For siblings navigating life without their rock, without their father, their accomplishment is a testament to their perseverance.
It's not hopeless. There's always light at the end of the tunnel.
Following their shared graduation, the sisters' unique experiences led to a new commitment to build a better life for their entire family together. Adrian Gabriel, CTV News, Toronto. Hey everyone, Nikki Reyes inside the Sports Center newsroom with your must-see moment from Tuesday. Let's head to the U19 Basketball World Cup. Canadian Ifosa Oliogu shows off the hops with a nasty put-back jam. Crazy play by the Markham, Ontario native who's committed to Butler next season. Maybe we'll see this kind of action in March Madness next year. A fitting must-see moment from Canada Day. And today on TSN, our Wimbledon coverage continues. Felix Auger-Aliassime and Carlos Alcaraz are both in action. Tune in right now to catch all the action from the All England Club. That's all for now from the Sports Center newsroom. Have a good one.
TSN Must See Moments brought to you by Super Blinds and Draperies, your Hunter Douglas shade provider for over 40 years. CTV Morning Live Weather brought to you by Mr. Lube Plus Tires. Same-day oil and tire changes.
All right. right, it is hot and humid up here, and my flowers did not get anywhere near as much water as they needed. I was talking about deadheading earlier, and that's when you take the little shriveled flower part off of the plant, and what that does is it allows the new flower to bloom, because if that old hap flower is just kind of hanging there taking up that space, the new flower can't come through. So anyway, if that happens to your flowers, take the dead ones off. You just tug them gently and they'll know. You'll know. It'll come off easily. Anyway, give your flowers a drink. Mine didn't get anywhere near as much water. I know it stormed yesterday in a lot of places, and I'm even seeing some dampness up here on the patio, but the soil itself was pretty dry this morning, and it's going to be a dry day across the province today. A couple places just south of us, still we're seeing some lingering storms. They're pretty much tapered off now, and now sunshine and heat right across the province, with low to mid 20s up north, high 20s here in the south. Gets even hotter for tomorrow. Tomorrow we may see some more storms. The timing will be tomorrow morning in the north, tomorrow late afternoon and evening through central Manitoba, and then overnight is when southern Manitoba could get it. So we could get woken up by Mother Nature's alarm clock. But for the next couple of days, a lot of sun, a lot of heat.
Thank you, Terry. Trade talks between Canada and the U.S. have resumed now that the digital services tax has been scrapped. However, there's still debate over whether the decision was a hit or miss for Canada. Joining us now, the Manitoba Chamber of Commerce's Elizabeth Saftiak. Good morning, Elizabeth.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for joining us. Now, this digital services tax was a 3% tax aimed at tech giants like Google and Meta. That's what sparked serious concern from the U.S. president. What are your thoughts about the federal government scrapping this?
Right. So the main driver behind that digital services tax was about tax fairness and equity. As you mentioned, large multinational tech companies were generating significant profits from Canadian users, but paying little or no corporate income tax in Canada. But there were two primary concerns. From a business community's perspective, the digital services tax would have been a self-defeating tax, and the burden would have been passed on to Canadian consumers in the form of higher costs. Perhaps even more significantly, though, the tax was seen as being counterproductive for current trade negotiations. Trade negotiations between the United States and Canada seemed to be moving along constructively, but on Friday afternoon, President Trump abruptly ended all trade talks with Canada over this tax. So, in response, the Canadian government decided to withdraw the tax on Sunday, one day before it was set to take effect. I would say this was largely influenced by escalating trade tensions between the United States and Canada's response was a strategic one, meant to preserve economic relations between the two countries and ensure that trade talks could continue. I would argue it was an act of good faith on behalf of the federal government.
So you feel it was a good move to back away from this tax?
I think it makes sense in this case. It was the long view that the Prime Minister was playing. The most important thing in front of us now is solidifying a trade deal, and this is what it took, hopefully, to continue trade negotiations to get that done by July 21st.
Trade talks are kept pretty private, though, aren't they? So we really don't know where they are at in terms of negotiations. Is that the case?
That's absolutely true. They are private, but I think outwardly everyone was feeling good about the trade talks. And so this news on the weekend really just showed that the U.S. relationship and Canada's relationship continues to be in a state of uncertainty. And despite our longstanding relationship with the United States, the challenge is that we are dealing with a president who has proven to be unreliable, who constantly changes his mind, and has created considerable uncertainty for business. And so until that uncertainty truly goes away, investors aren't going to be able to invest, we aren't going to create more jobs, and we aren't going to be able to meet our economic potential here in Canada. So until we have a new US-Mexico-Canada trade agreement, we will be in a state of uncertainty. I bring that up because it really emphasizes how important it is to finalize an agreement as soon as possible. But despite all of this, to your earlier point, trade talks do appear to be back on track, and we remain hopeful that a trade deal will be finalized by the deadline the Prime Minister and the President imposed, which is July 21st.
We've been talking about support Canada by Canada. Are you still feeling that way today?
Oh, I think so. I think that Canadians are even more patriotic than ever because of what's been going on, and there is absolute appetite to support local.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your perspective with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Anytime. All right, coming up, we're live at the Arberg Heritage Village this morning with our Ainsley McPhail. We're going to find out a little bit more about some of the heritage buildings as well as the campground. Stay with us. Well, here's a toy that is the cat's meow. Check this out. This kitty is concentrating hard on work and fun. Nothing can distract her from the ball or the bubbles. Her friend seems content with letting her do all the work while she watches. Not bad. It's time for Let's Celebrate. Let's see who's having a celebration today. Happy 10th birthday, Gavin and Garrett from family and friends. Happy 18th birthday, Josh. Love mom, dad, and your brother. Happy 7th birthday, Lincoln. Love mom, dad, and Libby. Happy 8th anniversary to Randy and Nicole. Love your super rad kids, Tony and Margie. Happy 1st birthday to Sawyer. Love mom, dad, papa, grandma, and your siblings. Happy 21st birthday, Magna. Love from mom, dad, brother Bosco, Auntie Sandy, and Devin. And a happiest birthday to grandson Brady. Love papa and granny. If someone you care about is having a birthday, anniversary, retirement, or graduation, let's celebrate. To submit your celebration, visit our website, ctvnewswinnipeg.ca, and fill out the form at least 2 days in advance. It'll also enter you into our monthly contest for a chance to win a $100 gift certificate to Party Stuff.
Let's Celebrate, brought to you by Party Stuff, 3 Winnipeg locations and at partystuff.ca.
Good morning. It's 8 o'clock on your Wednesday. We had a lot to celebrate this weekend here with the CTV Morning Live crew. Our very own Terry got married on Saturday, now officially Terry Gale. Good morning, Terry. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me over the weekend.
Oh, it was so much fun and such a beautiful venue, beautiful people all around, and there was so much love in the air. It was an honor to be part of it.
Aw, thank you. We really got lucky with the weather. It was hot. Yes, here's my family. So that's me and my husband. And, well, there's me and my husband. The other one had our 3 kids in there as well. So it was a perfect day. It was so nice to celebrate with family and friends. I do have to say, Director Kim, who was there present, had the audacity to wrap me in my speech on my wedding day.
She said, wrap it up, which we get all the time in our ear. We heard it, Kim. We heard you.
Oh my goodness. Yes, but too much fun was had. Well, not too much fun. The perfect amount of fun was had.
Such a wonderful day.
Yeah, thank you very much. So yes, now I'm going as Terry Gale. You'll see the name across the bottom.
It's a good weather name.
It is a good weather name, isn't it?
Yes,
thank you. All right, so also some good weather if you like the heat. That's how we're kicking off this morning. 15 degrees right now with winds out of the west 4 kilometers per hour. That pressure on the rise. The humidity is high, sitting at 97% this morning. Certainly a muggy start to your day and a hot one expected across the entire province. Some storms still moving through parts of southern Manitoba. There you can see showers, thunderstorms right along that most southern border. For the most part now starting to push south of that international line with plenty of sunshine left behind to heat us up today. Temperatures, as I mentioned, will be seasonal or above right up into northern Manitoba with those clear conditions expected all day today. Tomorrow, bit of a different story. Northern Manitoba, the first to see the precipitation. That'll begin in the morning, and then central Manitoba, you're going to start to see it later on into the afternoon or early evening. We too will get around, not necessarily through the day, through the daytime, sunshine and heat, a lot of it, but by overnight, storms could be raging anytime you're starting to see those yellows, oranges, or the reds, as you can see there, through northern Manitoba as well. That can be some pretty intense thunderstorm activity. We saw some yesterday, perhaps putting a bit of a damper on some of your Canada Day activities. For the most part, that's tapered off, but expected to be back again in the overnight hours. Aside from that, daytime, the heat will be felt, especially through the rest of this week. The weekend settles down ever so slightly, only to see the mercury on the rise again next week. Morgan is who we're thanking for our beautiful art today. Look at that garden. Morgan, my rooftop planters weren't even looking that good. So thank you for your art, and send pictures our way to Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca.
Thank you, Terry. Time has finally expired for parking pay stations along Winnipeg streets and in city-owned lots. As of today, the city will begin the process of removing those pay stations, which the city says have become technologically obsolete and too costly to replace. The city recommends that drivers download the Pay by Phone mobile app for parking transactions. In May, Mayor Scott Gillingham told CTV News 80% of all parking payments are already made via the app. The removal process is expected to be completed by the end of August. The only exception is the Millennium Library Parkade, which will still have pay stations available. Private parking lots will not be impacted by the change. Manitoba's police watchdog has been called in to investigate 2 separate instances where someone died in police custody on Friday. The first happened in the morning in Winnipeg. Police say they responded to a report. A man was being assaulted by a group of people on Maryland Avenue. They found a man in his 20s who was medically cleared by paramedics and did not want police involved in the assault investigation. However, police say he was detained and brought to Main Street Project because of how intoxicated he was. A few hours later, he experienced a medical event and died. The second happened mid-afternoon in Chimawewin Cree Nation. That's located in the North Interlake, west of Grand Rapids. RCMP say they were called to investigate a report of a man behaving erratically. When they arrived, they found a man in medical distress lying in the street. He was brought to the local nursing station but died. The independent investigation unit is now investigating both events. Anyone with information is asked to give them a call. Trade talks between Canada and the U.S. have resumed now that the digital services tax has been scrapped. However, there is still debate over whether the decision was a hit or miss for Canada.
$3.6 billion worth of trade crosses our border every single day with the United States. We can't afford to play with that. We need to make sure we secure that.
The Canadian Chamber of Commerce has applauded the move, but others say Canada needs to stand strong in talks with U.S. President Donald Trump. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre says he believes Prime Minister Mark Carney should have received something in return for scrapping the tax. A report released this morning has named the reason behind March's shutdown at Heathrow Airport. The report blames a power grid failure for causing a fire at an electrical substation near the airport. The report adds a problem was flagged 7 years ago, but the company that runs the station kept putting repairs off. The Heathrow outage left thousands of travelers stranded while costing airlines millions of dollars. What better way to cool off in a heat wave than to hit the slopes? People in Germany are going sledding to beat the heat. Visitors have been flocking to the country's highest mountain to get some fresh air. Not only do you get to go sledding and see incredible views, but the temperature is just 8 degrees. That's a huge drop from the heat wave happening in the country and across parts of Europe. Here's a look at what's happening on Donald Street. Looks like things are picking up slowly over here, but traffic volumes appear light. Kids are off school, you know, that's what's going on. It looks pretty good so far. No issues to tell you about at this point.
CTV Morning Live Traffic brought to you by Mr. Lube Plus Tires. No appointment needed.
Let's go back now to the Arberg Village where Ainsley McPhail is live this morning. It's also a campground, so you could go there and hang out for the whole day and for the evening as well. Good morning.
Good morning. And when you realize too, Rochelle, what's close in proximity and how you could just spend a great day trip here, you might want to come to Arberg. Jan is joining us now to explain. So camping in Arberg, tell us a little bit about the site.
Yeah, who knew that we had a campground? We've had it for 22 years. It's probably one of our best unintentionally kept secrets, but we do have 22 sites here. They're serviced with electrical and water. Some pull-through sites as well. Each has a fire pit. We provide you with free firewood, although we have a burning ban on right now. Eventually, you should be able to have a campfire, yep.
Mm-hmm. And the setting is stunning.
It is. It's beautiful. Very mature trees, very mature. Close to the town of Arberg. You could walk across the walking bridge, visit the Arberg Bakery, which I hear might be a favorite of somebody here.
It's Kenny.
Just to be clear, yes, yes. Also, day trips. You could drive out to Hecla for the day. You could go to Eriksdale, visit their museum. We also have a number of events happening over the summer that if you're in the campground, you can just walk to the main area here and enjoy. Farmers markets, music nights, all free. all free to come and enjoy.
Tell us a little bit more about that farmers market too, because it happens on Wednesdays. I'm sure it brings in lots of people to get their fresh, local, healthy produce. What can people expect?
So that you can expect a variety of things. We have honey, we have clothing, we have wood carvings, we have, we might have a coffee vendor this year as well.
Okay.
So, yeah, so they're inside and outside of the hall from 10 to 3 every Wednesday starting July the 9th.
And the heritage site as well, I haven't asked you this off camera, but do you do special events or anything like that?
We sure do. We have musical nights once a month on a Wednesday night. The next one coming up is July the 16th. It starts at 7 o'clock. We feature local talent, like from within the Interlake area. They come, they provide a free show for you. It's usually an hour, hour and a half on our outdoor stage. It's a comfortable setting. Just bring a lawn chair and some bug spray.
I love that so much too. And for the history buffs out there, you'd be surprised. Every time you come back, you're learning so much more. Coming up at 8:38, we're heading to the barn.
Okay, thank you, Ainsley. An Ontario artist is putting her own spin on a political movement inspired by the No Kings protests in the United States. Carly Pierce painted a playful portrait of President Donald Trump that's been picked up south of the border and around the world. CTV's Alexandra Hollick has more.
Yeah, there's definitely humor in it. And then there's the other side where people don't see the humor at all. They're actually really enraged by it.
Carly Pierce isn't afraid to play her hand or playfully paint a head of state. U.S. President Donald Trump decked out in royal digs, depicted as the court's jester.
I was seeing a lot of videos and photos from the No Kings protests going on in the States, and I wanted to somehow incorporate that slogan into a painting.
No kings! No kings! No kings!
The movement made waves south of the border earlier this month, with millions calling out Trump's authoritarian-like style of governance.
I think, in one way or another, we're all being affected by this.
So she decided to give it the royal treatment.
I was just thinking, no kings, what could I do? And I thought of a playing card of sort of a half king, half joker.
Pierce shared the painting's process on social media and came up trumps.
When I posted it, it started picking up on comments and shares, and it sort of did exceed what I thought would happen with it.
Supporters encouraging Pierce to send it to the man himself.
At first I laughed about it, and then I was like, wait a second, I can easily do that. That would actually be a really cool way of showing people that they can do something similar. Even if it seems small, it can be an act of resistance.
She's also listed her artwork online, with orders coming in from across the globe.
I've had people say they're putting it on banners for protests, on flags, yard signs, everything, t-shirts. I have people in Australia, UK, Germany.
As for whether she'll paint other political leaders, Pierce says she's not sure if it's in the cards.
I really want to just do what I feel intuitively that I want to do next. So we'll see. I'm not sure yet.
Alexandra Hollick, CTV News, Stratford.
All right, looking now through the Bath Fitter Live Eye. Bath Fitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years. It's clear, it's sunny, it's hot, and it's a little bit muggy this morning. You're certainly going to notice that humidity. It is high, and the temperatures will be climbing even higher. Yeah, we're starting out now. Well, we're not starting in the high teens. That's where we're sitting now. We had dropped as low as 14 degrees overnight, which actually puts us pretty close to seasonal values, with 13 being that normal low temperature. But now a few hours of sunshine, and it's already starting to warm up. So high teens is where most of us are now sitting throughout southern Manitoba, mid-teens through central Manitoba. Northern Manitoba, you've also climbed now, not just into the double digits, but for the most part, those low teens. And you're going to be feeling the heat today as well, with pretty sunny and dry conditions expected across the entire province. There was still some lingering storm activity in areas just to the south of us, but even that seems to have pretty much moved on out of the province. You noticed those storms yesterday, I'm sure, though. Didn't bring anywhere near as much rain to the rooftop as I expected, though. I still had to water my flowers, knowing, again, that it's going to be a dry one for us. And watch how these temperatures will rise through the day today. Noontime here, I've stopped it, and mid-20s are expected across the south, with high teens and low 20s. That's just your midday temperatures, though, climbing even higher yet into those low to mid-20s for northern Manitoba, and high 20s here through southern Manitoba. 25 degrees, just for a reference point. That would be normal for a daytime high here in Winnipeg. We'll surpass it today, and even more so the next couple, with the possibility of some overnight storms tomorrow night, lingering into Friday with a few extra clouds and temperatures settling ever so slightly as we're looking ahead to the weekend. Taking a break right now. We'll be back in a moment with more CTV Morning Live.
Good morning, it's 8:15. It's that time of year, and CTV and Chicken Chef want you to share how you're soaking up the season, from campfires to concerts, golf days to getaways. Whatever makes your Manitoba summer magical, we want to see it. These are just a few of the amazing moments from last year, and now it's your turn. Upload a photo of your summer fun for a chance to win the $5,000 grand prize, plus daily draws for $50 Chicken Chef gift certificates. So what are you waiting for? Grab your phone, snap that sunshine, and share your summer with us today.
Stock market trading will resume in Canada today after pausing for the Canada Day holiday yesterday. And the S&P TSX Composite Index will begin today's session at 26,857 points. It's now up more than 8.5% so far this year. U.S. stocks, meanwhile, did trade yesterday, and futures contracts on the three main U.S. stock indices were mainly higher this morning. The first shipment of Canadian liquefied natural gas is now on an ocean-going vessel on its way from Kitimat, British Columbia to buyers in Asia. The LNG Canada plant near Kitimat was under development for about 7 years and includes the Haisla First Nation as one of its joint venture partners. Shell, the global oil and gas giant, owns 40% of the facility. Prime Minister Mark Carney said, quote, "Canada has what the world needs." With LNG Canada's first shipment to Asia, Canada is exporting its energy to reliable partners, diversifying trade and reducing global emissions, all in partnership with Indigenous peoples. Finally, the Canadian dollar was trading at 73.3 cents U.S. this morning. From the BNN Bloomberg Newsroom in Toronto, I'm Paul Bagnall.
From climate resilience to clean tech innovation, some of the brightest minds in Manitoba are coming together for the Manitoba Sustainable Research Symposium. Its goal is to connect science with real-world solutions that can help our province and the plant move toward a more sustainable future. Joining me now is Industry Liaison Manager Elena Gomez-Aro. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm well. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, this is really interesting because it's all about protein, sustainable protein. Tell us what that is exactly.
So sustainable protein is really a way of using what we already know, which is protein, but in a sustainable manner, either because it's economically sustainable, or it's good for the environment, or sustainable for the environment, or for the companies that are producing it, using it, or the regular consumer who is taking them. So it can go different ways in many different areas. The main part pretty much is plant-based protein.
Okay.
So you could go with legumes and with pulses, and that's per se sustainable just because it regenerates the soil and it adds different value to the meals that you're consuming.
And we are sort of ahead of the global trade when it comes to having this kind of protein in our province. We have really great facilities that process. We have the biggest pea facility in Portage. Tell us about that.
Correct. So that is a huge investment by Roquette, an international company, and we have the largest one here in Portage La Prairie. We also have other very interesting initiatives like canola protein. We're the first North American protein processor for canola.
Mm-hmm.
We also have, Canada's largest bacon facility, and we also house a lot of research to be done in terms of sustaining and helping protein to be either improved, understood, or utilized.
Okay, and so let's talk about what's happening at the symposium. This is on July the 7th. It's pretty much all day.
Yes.
There's going to be people from all over the province, of course, Canada, as well as other parts of the world. What's happening at the symposium?
So we're trying to explore different avenues and give solutions to real problems that the industry is facing or researchers are facing. So pretty much we have the combination of fundamental research going on that it's needed to back up and support everything we pretty much do, and then applied research, and then industry challenges. So something new that is also coming, it's AI, and that's widely known. So in general, we're trying to learn more about it and see how it's really reshaping both agriculture and new product development and everything else in between. So it's from just the regular and base crops to adding value to them and seeing how it can really solve and help the consumer and researchers to work towards a more like a closer future in a way.
Okay. So for the sustainable protein, this is something that more people around the world are tapping into?
Definitely. So protein has been a hot topic for a very long time, and it has been evolving. The government of Manitoba with a strategic protein or with a pathway to strategic protein development, it's tackling down. But definitely we need more protein in the world. We are a lot of people now, and we need to pretty much feed us all, but also feed us with quality, not only quantity. And protein is one of the main factors that has been played a good role into all this. So yes, we need to increase our protein consumption, or that is the trend. We're living longer. We need more protein through our lives. But how are we going to achieve this? And is it good quality protein? Is it available? Is it this, can we really, once we ingest it, are we really absorbing it? How is this all working out? And also, how are the regulations working out, but also the development of new products is not just adding protein, but making sure that it's something that you're willing to eat and you're happy eating and you're enjoying it while eating.
It's fascinating. Of course, this symposium is on July the 7th. It is open to the public. You just have to register ahead of time. Thank you for sharing this with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Anytime. And if you want more information, we do have a link on our website.
All right, I am feeling the heat already this morning, and I'm not sure if you can hear the machines. There's some work going on Graham Avenue. I'm sure Mayor Scott Gillingham coming up on the show is going to talk a little bit more about that, but it's loud this morning if you're out here right in the downtown area. It's also very bright. That sunshine, whew, throwing a little heat our way. Grab the sunglasses, this sunscreen. Make sure that you're reapplying through the day, and most definitely stay hydrated. I know my flowers didn't get enough hydration. I've given them a drink now. It rained yesterday, but not very much right in the downtown area. My rain gauge showed pretty much nothing. My rooftop pool was empty. My patio back home, just a few blocks away, got absolutely soaked. So it just depended on where you were in the city when the skies opened up and that storm rolled through. Much of southern Manitoba saw that storm activity. Some places still saw it this morning. Right along that most southern border, Morden-Winkler, Altona, Steinbach areas is pretty much done now and out of the way, and now nothing but sunshine across the entire province. Low to mid 20s across northern Manitoba, mid to high 20s, mostly high 20s here in the south, with low 30s on tap for the rest of this week. So as hot as it's going to be today, it gets even hotter for the next couple. And I mentioned those storms that rolled through last night. This picture taken in the Niverville area by Curtis. Thanks for sharing, and keep them coming, please, to Winnipeg Weather at CTV.ca. We're taking a break right now, but we'll be back with more CTV Morning Live.
CTV Morning Live Weather is brought to you by Destination Dinner Stage, Manitoba's only musical dinner theater. CTV Morning Live is brought to you by Robin's Donuts, your favorite stop.
The city of Winnipeg has seen some big changes over the last few days. Friday, Portage-Germain officially reopened to pedestrians again, and Sunday, the city launched its brand new transit network. Part of Graham Avenue is now closed and barricaded to vehicles. And joining us now for our monthly chat is Mayor Scott Gillingham. Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now, Portage-Germain reopened. What a busy week it's been for you. But Portage-Germain, how did it feel walking across the street for the first time at that iconic corner?
It felt great. It really felt great. And there were so many people who were excited to be there. People that had been part of the Vote Open campaign back in 2018. But it was really neat. I got to a chance to talk to a couple of women, and both they told me that they used to work at Portage-Germain back in the mid-1970s, and they used to walk across Portage-Germain all the time when it was open, and they had to come back now that it was reopened 46 years later. So it was a really a neat experience, and I want to commend everyone involved in the building construction of it, MD Steel, the construction company, our city staff, Dillon Consulting. There were so many, people that had a hand in making it happen. It looks great because all the work that was done looks really fantastic, and I've heard a lot of positive feedback.
There's a lot of people who have been posting themselves walking across the street on social media as well, which is also fun. The underground concourse, I know that that's still up in the air on what's going to happen. It's not going to be closed anytime soon.
Right.
Any clearer picture on what will happen with that?
You're right. It won't be closed anytime soon. We're still getting information, and we're expecting, as a council, we're expecting a report back from our city staff early this fall, just on what the latest information is about the concourse and how much damage is there because of the water damage. So more more information to come this fall.
Okay, and then of course the new transit network came into effect on Sunday as well. You came on the bus this morning. What was the experience like for you?
It was great. The bus was on time and clean, and riders seemed to be getting on and having no problem at all. And there was one stop where I know that there was someone on the sidewalk at the bus stop looking for information, and our bus driver opened the door and directed that person in the right direction. This wasn't the bus to get on, it was the next bus. So our staff is doing a good job as well. I would just ask all riders, first of all, to be patient. These are big changes. It's the biggest change in Winnipeg Transit's 142-year history. So be patient with the operators. But the big thing, Rochelle, is that we needed a system, we need our transit system updated. We had an old transit system with routes that kind of meandered through the city and really doesn't reflect the patterns of today's transit travelers. And so the system we've put in place has been done through analysis and data of where travelers are going to make sure that it's a better system. And finally, I would say what's really important is this is a more frequent system. There are more buses arriving more often. And so if I would have missed my bus this morning, I just need to wait 4 or 5 minutes and the next bus comes. And that's like that all day on the major routes.
And there will always be some sort of things you need to iron out as well. So if people have any complaints, you're asking for them to submit those, right?
We are. Please contact 311 and submit your complaint or your questions. If you have questions, contact 311. But if you have complaints, by all means, because we want to improve the system. As I said, this is the biggest change in Winnipeg Transit history. It's a one-day change. We didn't just change 1 or 2 routes, we changed all the routes.
Right.
And so that affects every route. If you have a complaint, please contact 311. Every year, annually, our transit team is going to make changes and tweaks as needed, but what we're going to do it is based on kind of the most common complaints and where improvements need to be made.
And part of the reason why this happened was because you're closing Graham as well to buses and vehicles, and that has already happened. There are now barricades in place, and the street has been painted all kinds of colors. Tell us what's going on there.
You're right. There's blocks of Graham Avenue now that are closed to vehicles, and it's going to be pedestrians only. And it's going to take some time to build that up. But you see in some other cities where we have these pedestrian-only corridors, and they really attract a lot of vitality into the downtown. There's so much good happening in Winnipeg's downtown right now. It's a real exciting time.
Portage Place is getting revamped. There's also the old Hudson's Bay building is getting revamped. The corner of Portage and Main with the MMF buying the Bank of Montreal building. A lot of exciting new things happening to our city.
There really is. It's public sector investment, it's private sector investment, and it's, as you said, it's a lot of pieces coming together. Winnipeg's downtown, and there's vibrancy and life in the downtown. More people are moving into Winnipeg's downtown. We have work to do. I know we have work to do. We got to, make it safer in the downtown. We got to make it cleaner in the downtown, help folks that are struggling with homelessness. But there's a lot of good things happening right now. When
you first ran for this job, did you imagine it would all come together like this?
Well, I knew that we were coming into a time where there was a lot of good pieces beginning to emerge. But, my credit to council and city staff and others who helped kind of push a few things over the top and make it to where we are today. Again, a lot of work to do, but a lot of good things happening.
Mr. Mayor, thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
Yeah, how exciting. I mean, to be able to walk across Portage and Main for the first time in many of our lives, to be honest. But how exciting right outside our CTV building on Graham Avenue to see all of that activity taking place as well. And if you want to head downtown to check it out, bring some water with you. Stay hydrated today. Slather up with the sunscreen and bring enough to reapply. Sunglasses, too. It's going to be a hot one today. 18 degrees is where we're sitting already this morning. The winds are light. You're not going to find relief from the breeze. The pressure rising. Humidity dropping, though, now sitting at 81%. Clear conditions now pretty much across the province. We were watching the last bit of storm activity now moving south of the international border. So sunshine across the province today and a whole lot of heat to go with it. Above seasonal temperatures expected, with 25 degrees being normal for this time of year. We'll head up to a high of 29. And as I mentioned, no relief from that breeze. Winds will stay on the lighter side. Out of the northeast today, only 10 kilometers per hour, shifting overnight, but still staying very light as we drop down to 13 degrees. Clear conditions remain overnight night and through most of the day tomorrow. It'll be a sunny one. It's going to be a hot one. 32 degrees. It's going to be windy, though. Those winds increasing out of the south up to 50 clicks. And then prepare yourself for some nighttime storms. Looking pretty angry right now on our futurecast. We'll see if they do, in fact, hit with that kind of intensity. But the possibility of severe thunderstorm watches and warnings issued for tomorrow night. Still with the heat lingering Friday and a few extra clouds as well. Temperatures dipping ever so slightly for the weekend before we're back on the rise again to seasonal and above, and perhaps some more storms again next week.
Thank you, Terry. RCMP continued to investigate a fatal collision early Monday in the RM of Hanover. Police say a 22-year-old Steinbach man died in a two-vehicle crash at around midnight on Highway 12, about a kilometer south of Highway 303. Officers said the driver of one of the vehicles was pronounced dead at the scene. The other driver, a 20-year-old man from the RM of de Salaberry, was transported to hospital in critical condition. He has since been upgraded to stable condition. The Winnipeg Police Service is expecting to be about $4.2 million over budget this year. That's according to its first quarter financial report, which shows both revenue and expenses are slightly higher than expected. The force attributes the bulk of the red ink to a $5 million savings target, which it expects to partially achieve. Inflation also drove up costs, particularly for vehicle insurance and equipment. The Jets' whiteout street parties also helped push overtime expenses over budget by $1 million. The Finance Committee will review the report next week. Winnipeg Animal Services is bursting at the seams with dogs. In fact, there are so many dogs in their care, officials are reaching out to the public for help. In an attempt to find some new best friends for the dogs, the city is lowering the price it takes to adopt one. Until this Friday, July the 4th, the fee to adopt a dog has been dropped from $330 to $175. This fee includes the cost of spaying or neutering, a tattoo, microchip, and first license. Dozens of new Canadians took their citizenship oath yesterday at a special ceremony in Assiniboine Park, marking a new milestone in their lives.
And that I will faithfully observe the laws of Canada.
30 new Canadians from 12 different countries gathered at the Performance Garden for the final legal step to become a Canadian citizen.
I became Canadian today, so I really feel very happy to be Canadian here. So I have so many more opportunities.
The special ceremony was one of several events that took place at Assiniboine Park yesterday, including live performances at Lyric Theatre throughout the day. Here's an unexpected but probably not unwelcome guest in the water off a beach in Rio. This Magdalenic penguin was spotted in the warm waters of Rio. Typically, this kind of penguin would be in cooler waters off of southern Argentina and Chile. It's likely this one got off course of its usual migratory route. Officials have flagged this to wildlife officials, and there are hopes they can catch this penguin and get it back to where it belongs. A punishing wildfire season in Saskatchewan has resulted in devastating loss for many people. It's what fueled a young boy's determination to step up and help his family and make the grass a bit greener. CTV's Carla Shinkarik explains.
Hunter Larson found out on June 2nd that his dad's house in Denair Beach was destroyed by wildfire. It's a house he lived in part-time.
We lost both our houses in Denair, and my dad is living in his van with my dog. I cried at first, but like 2 days later, I was fine.
The school year ended early because of wildfires encroaching on Creighton, where he lives. So he had some extra time on his hands and started thinking of a way he could help.
So Hunter wanted to raise some money to help his dad out because they lost both of the homes on the property in Denair Beach.
So he decided to use his lawn mowing skills, ones he's been working on since he was 8 years old. He's mowed 30 lawns already and raised $1,500.
It's been quite devastating, so this has kept our minds off things, that's for sure.
He says it's hard work mowing lawns from about noon until 8 at night, but says it's all worth it.
They're proud of me for doing this. And they thank me for doing this.
His mom isn't surprised by Hunter's determination.
He's very selfless, so his entire life he's just been so helpful. Like If you ask any of his teachers, he's just like the sweetest, kindest boy. Like, he's just so helpful. He just wants to help everybody.
So does he have a goal that he wants to reach?
So how much would you like to raise?
I don't know.
One thing he does know, he wants to keep up with the project all summer, and they've started a GoFundMe page. Carla Shinkaruk, CTV News, Saskatoon.
That's an incredible kid. Here's a look now at Portage and Main. Look at that. Things are moving well over here. No issues to tell you about at this point. If you see any problems out on the streets, please let us know. And here's a look now at your gas prices. The Canadian average is $1.34, while the provincial average is lower at $1.30. In Winnipeg, the average is $1.29. The lowest price in Winnipeg is $1.17. All this info is on gasbuddy.com.
Price at the pump brought to you by kidneycard.ca. Get a free tow and a tax receipt for value of your car.
Let's check in now on our question of the day and some of your responses. We wanted to know, what's your favorite summer activity as a kid? Cheryl says her favorite thing to do as a kid was play hide and seek on the street with her friends. April says a colorful little bus would pick us up, take us to the beach where we did arts and crafts on picnic tables. And Wanda says swimming. Thank you so much for your responses. Let's go back now to Ainsley McPhail, who's live at the Arberg Heritage Village this morning. Maybe that's a fun summer activity to do this summer. Hello, Ainsley.
Yeah, my new fun summer activity. I'm going to be a blacksmith. It's the best place for exploring, Rochelle. Every single nook and cranny, I'm learning something new. It's fabulous. Joe is joining me now. Tell us about the space, because it really is an accumulation of people like yourself donating and so much more.
Yeah, this is a blacksmith shop that we have built. It's a reproduction of what a blacksmith shop would be like. My wife and I and a volunteer built the stone forge here to show what the forge would look like in a blacksmith shop. Plus, we have a portable forge as well in there.
Mm-hmm. And ample amount of horseshoes as well.
Yes, we have horseshoes for smaller horses. We have horseshoes for draft horses so they could walk on the ice without slipping.
And there's one horse that is a timeless treasure. Where is it from?
It came from the Eaton store downtown. It was, I can't remember what floor it was on.
That's okay.
It has a World War I cavalry saddle on it.
What do we know about it?
What do we know about it?
Yeah, what do we know about it? Like, who was it donated by?
It was donated by Pat, our founder. She bought it, and it's a fiberglass horse. It was used to display the horse equipment in the Eaton store.
That is so fascinating. And when it comes to restoring this history, the museum does a very good job of that, whether it be here in the blacksmith shop or elsewhere. What is it that makes this space so special?
Well, it's disappearing. You're not finding these items anymore. They're hard to come by, and most people don't know how to use them. But we do have a few people that are interested in demonstrating the blacksmith shop to people in the future.
Yeah.
So.
And you're going to have to come by the site to really see its magic. Sometimes photographs don't do it justice. So come on down to Arberg. They've got a market on Wednesdays. They've got a campground here, and the list goes on and on. Head to a link on our website for more details.
Thank you, Ainsley. Let's go out to the rooftop now. It's a beautiful start to the day. It's sunny, and it's going to get hot today.
It's hot already, Rochelle. Yeah? Just as I step out here, I mean, that heat, the sun, the humidity all combined. Now, humidity is starting to drop off a little bit, but my goodness, you're feeling it. Yeah, you might want to spend those peak hours indoors and then enjoy some evening time temperatures when it starts to cool down a little bit. Not that it's going to be cooling down much, because today will be a scorcher. 18 degrees is where we're sitting right now, and no wind whatsoever. Well, a 3K wind out of the north, but the breeze will remain light all day long. Pressure rising, the humidity, I mentioned it dropping, now sitting at 81% from 97% this morning. Those storms that rolled through overnight really did crank up that humidity. We didn't get much rain right in the downtown area. I've been complaining about how sad my flowers looked this morning, and my rain gauge was completely bone dry. Even my rooftop pool didn't get much There were some places yesterday that got a good soaking, though, with those storms that passed through overnight, and we're still lingering in areas to the south of us over the past hour or so. But even they have now cleared out of the way, and sunshine expected across the entire province now. And with that sunshine comes the heat. Low to mid-20s across northern Manitoba, high 20s here in the south. Hot today and above seasonal. By the way, 25 is normal for this time of year, but even hotter tomorrow and into Friday, into the low 30s. Lots of sunshine again tomorrow with some possible storms rolling through overnight. Taking a break right now. We'll be back with more on CTV Morning Live.
Weather brought to you by Blinds Are Beautiful at 900 Lorimer Boulevard, featuring Hunter Douglas shades.
Good morning, it's 8:44. Canadians take pride in the people, places, and things that make our country unique. And on Canada Day, many stop by to see one Frederickton doctor's passion project, including CTV's Sarah Plowman.
The first two panels we did.
No words were used for Brian McKinnon's conversation piece. Face upon face on the front of his house. By now, people have heard.
Wow. Gerald, good to meet you. Happy Canada Day.
And want to see it themselves.
I like the colors and everything. It just sticks right out nice.
The idea sprouted from the artist's imagination. Celebrate those who had an impact on his life by digitally painting them and putting their faces on panels. Meet these 250.
All of these faces are jazzed up versions of people that I've known throughout my life. I wanted to make a really powerful work that people would respond to the instant they saw it.
The faces are mostly Canadian and mostly positive, but some are angry. Thankfully, that's not how McKinnon's wife felt when he surprised her with the new addition.
It's absolutely wonderful to me. It's colorful. It brings you joy to look at it.
The artist is a partially retired doctor whose passion has always been projects like this. He's decorated his shutters with toys. That clothesline is actually a sculpture. Inside, work hangs in every room, brightening up all angles. He's played with toys, colors, and shapes, but the physician's biggest fascination is faces.
Well, I think they tell you more about the personality of individuals than any other part of the body do. I think the hands and the movement of our hands do something, but there's nothing like a face, and there's nothing nearly as interesting to me as a human.
Good luck finding yours, though, or his. Is your face here?
I can't tell you.
It's more like a game of guess who. Perhaps that's the point, and a way to engage the artist and onlookers' imaginations. Sarah Plowman, CTV News, Fredericton.
With school out and summer in full swing, many parents are wondering how to keep their teens engaged, happy, and healthy during these long weeks. Joining us now is clinical psychologist Dr. Joanne Unger. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us. Now let's start with the basics. Why is summer a tricky time for teens maybe struggling with their mental health?
Yeah, there isn't a lot of structure to kind of ground teens in their day-to-day life. Yeah. So while at first it can feel really fun, you know, school's out, don't have those responsibilities, that homework is gone, but after a while it can kind of wear on a person just because they don't know what to do and they have to decide what to do every day, and that mental load of having to figure out every day what to do can start to wear on a person.
And so they're isolated because all their friends are busy at summer vacation, so there's that going on. Their parents are probably still working, so they're alone with their thoughts, right?
Yeah, some kids are for sure. Like, they don't have lots of regular activities, their friends aren't in their same situation, it's hard to connect, people aren't around if they don't have siblings, absolutely. And then obviously many will go to phones and screens to find connection and find something to do with their day.
Okay, so when do you know your child is struggling? What are signs of trouble?
Yeah, so if you notice changes in mood, irritability, sadness, isolation, so they're, even when people are around, they're spending times by themselves when they could be with other people, changes in sleep and eating. Now, some of those will be natural, right? Just because of summer, those things change. But if you're concerned, I really encourage, first step for parents is talk to your kids. Right, just have a conversation, ask how their summer's going, you know, what their plans are, how they're feeling, what they did that day, and do the best to kind of connect, because many kids will, and teens will want to talk about how they're doing. Some won't, and that sometimes can be a sign as well, as if they're really isolating, they don't even want to talk.
And so if that's the case, do you just go ahead and find them a therapist?
Well, I would say first step is to try to use some of those mental health strategies that we all know and have.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be the first line that we engage a therapist, but problem solve with them about, I think that maybe things aren't going very well this summer. What are some ways that we can make this a little bit more enjoyable, have some structure for your day, physical activity, get outside, be with people, sometimes even setting up a little itinerary and helping them do that. Those are some of the first things that I would recommend, getting on a regular sleep and eat cycle, because that can really throw off mood as well. If those things aren't working, the things that we would normally use and try to help us feel well aren't working, then I would suggest, getting some professional support.
And structure is important. So maybe after they've had, their first 2 weeks of just chilling and relaxing and enjoying summer, then maybe incorporating a little bit more structure, such as volunteering or maybe getting a summer job, right?
Yep. Absolutely. Those things are, you kind of want to maybe get on those a little early, because you want to make sure that you have enough time to sign up for those kinds of things. So, you'd want to be doing those pretty soon, with built-in time for fun and relaxing and hanging out with friends is really important as well. But yeah, finding some structure and working with your team. So different ages will require more support or less support in trying to set up a good structure and getting their input. What are some of their goals? What are some of their interests, and then trying to match that onto a bit of a structure for them.
We're almost out of time. Screens are also a big deal. Kids can't just be on their screens all day. What's the time limit?
It really varies per kid, and I often look at how are they doing in their life at that age. So for teenagers, are they still engaging with friends? How's their mood? How's their eating? How's their sleep? And how's their physical activity and getting stuff done? And if those are looking okay, then you're probably not too bad. But if they're on it all day long, that's not a good sign.
Okay, thank you, Doctor, for sharing this with us. Good advice as we head into those hot dog or dog days of summer. Thank you so much. You also need a hot dog.
I had one yesterday and was just sitting down to enjoy some Canada Day festivities with my hot dog when that sky opened up and I got soaked. A soggy bun. Yeah, not so good. Anyway, it's 18 degrees outside. We're looking at an open Portage and Main. Pedestrians free to cross for the first time since the 70s. Pretty impressive, isn't it? Anyway, 18 degrees right now, north winds, very light, 3 clicks, the pressure rising, the humidity sitting at 81%. Oh, and look at that. Traffic is still moving just fine through that intersection. Makes you wonder what took us so darn long. Anyway, I'm just being cheeky. Here's a look at the province today. Very clear conditions. Some storms earlier this morning already now out of the way. The humidity still on the higher side, but it is starting to taper, and the temperature starting to rise. It's going to be a hot one no matter where you go today. Low 20s expected through the northeastern part of the province. These values above seasonal, where about high teens would be normal for this time of year. Low 20s would be a seasonal daytime high here through the northwestern part of the province, and you too will be a few degrees above what you would expect this time of year, more so into those mid-20s, and then it's high 20s across southern Manitoba, where mid-20s would be a seasonal daytime high around 25 degrees, but most of us soaring beyond that. High 20s today, even hotter for the rest of the week. And yes, there was a little bit of lingering activity as far as the storms go in areas just south of us. That is now cleared out of the way. Sunshine and the heat that goes with it. No breeze, or not no breeze, but a 3K wind right now, could get up to a 10K wind today. Don't be counting on that breeze for much relief from the heat. And as I mentioned, it gets even hotter for tomorrow, with the potential for some storms rolling through for northern Manitoba tomorrow morning, central Manitoba late tomorrow afternoon. For us, it'll be overnight, but that heat continues, and we're finishing off the week with above seasonal temps. Taking a break right now. We'll see you soon with more CTV Morning Live.
Rooftop arrangements provided by Lacoste Garden Center.
Salon services provided by S&T Spa Salon.
Before we say goodbye, we're going to kick things off with an utterly adorable encounter. Take a look. Sassy sea otter loves hitching rides with kayakers. Watch as he swims alongside and tries to grab their oars as they row. The playful pup has been seen on surfboards and paddleboards and even napped on a fishing boat.
Oh my goodness.
He's sneaky. Look at him. Oh my goodness. He's so playful. Until you lose your oar.
Right? Paddling with your hands.
Yeah. And then sticking with wildlife, there's a first time for everything. Check this out. Take a look at him go. This orphaned raccoon is learning to live his best life with his new family, which includes a couple of dogs. He's been camping and now he's swimming like a pro.
Learning to doggy paddle.
Indeed. That does it for us. Have a good day. We'll see you tomorrow.